Hey, this is Matt on the very early morning, the very, very early morning of April 3rd, coming to you from the BitHarmony editing room. Just wanted to make a quick note that we recorded this episode on April 1st. That was the day before the Switch 2 Direct. It's worth noting that because we talk about Chibi Robo and lament its availability in the modern age in this episode, and hey, they revealed at that Switch 2 Direct that GameCube games are coming to NSO on Switch 2, including very specifically and very pointedly Chibi Robo. So I just wanted to make a note that Seth and I are aware. You don't need to message, you don't need to comment. We are aware Chibi Robo is coming. We will do a Chibi Robo episode in the future, but just wanted to make note of that. So please enjoy the rest of the normal show.
Delightful, charming, sumptuous, piquant, yummy. These are words you would normally use to describe a particularly juicy apple, or perhaps melon. But today, we're using them to introduce the world's best and most scrumptious video game music podcast, BitHarmony.
You're listening to BitHarmony, the world's greatest video game music podcast, and I'm Matt.
And I'm Seth.
The two greatest video game music podcast hosts there have ever been, probably. Maybe I shouldn't make that claim, but
who's our competition? Who is going to rise up? You know,
we got that Emily lady from
That's
NPR. True. There's probably at least a couple other ones, but I shouldn't cast judgment like that without even knowing.
Nor should we invite comments for people to be like, here's a list of everyone better than you.
Look, I'd love to have a list right in front of me. Then I'd know who I should be targeting at that point. I don't know how the hell we got off on this one already. Today we're gonna have an Onyx mind share with you all and with each other. We're talking about Sephonie, the game, the most recent still game from Analgesic Productions. We'll get into all of that when we get to actually talking about the game in depth. But first, the intro of this episode is Linking into the Beyond from Sephonie, and this is composed, as all the Sephonie songs in this episode are composed by Melos Han-Tani, and we will be back to talk about it. And that was Linking Into the Beyond from Sephonie. We had this discussion when we were trying to figure out the order of things and like what songs to play where. In case it's ever been in doubt, we do put serious thought into this kind of stuff, like what songs fit best in certain spots. It was really hard to figure out what song to intro this episode with. And we kind of came down on this one because it is kind of the song that sounds most the most traditional video game song on the soundtrack, at least I think, or at least it's up there.
Right.
Also, this is basically the boss fight equivalent song, kind of. The battle equivalent in this game are block puzzles, basically. And we put this here so that we don't get bogged down talking about the story when talking about this song, because there's no real story to talk about right now. This is just the boss battle music, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I always love this song. I mean, I love the whole soundtrack. This is one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. I always love this song, but this really grew on me on this most recent playthrough. I did manage to fully finish this playthrough. And yeah, I didn't remember how good this song was.
Mm-hmm. It is really good. And it's funny too because, you know, we were thinking about another thing that we had like when kind of putting together the song list for this episode was like what elements of the game we want to make sure we represent, like every kind of element of the game, including the linking mechanic, which we'll get more into, the block puzzle stuff that you're talking about. We'll get more into that later. That's a major kind of element of the game, and there are kind of just a handful of songs that are associated with it, and I wanted to make sure that we saved like the kind of linking song in my mind for later. So yeah, this for many reasons made sense to intro the episode with, but yeah, like I love this song too, and I think like revisiting it for this episode made me appreciate it a little bit more, like outside of the context of the game actually. It's interesting because like, you know, speaking broadly, again, we're going to get more in the weeds on this, but like the theme of Sephonie is about like connecting to the world around you, the people, the flora, the fauna and everything, and like coming to understand each other with this like overarching theme of connection. And so this song has a lot of like sounds in it that remind me of nature. Like my first note here is like if Melos Han-Tani made a Donkey Kong Country song. Like is kind of what it sounds like. There's like some sounds in here that remind me of like chittering like bugs and like, you know, woodland creatures or something, and it kind of makes sense because most of what you're linking with in this game are like plants and animals and stuff, and there's a lot of cool, especially one thing that this game's soundtrack does a lot is the songs have a lot of interesting movements, and they kind of have interesting like builds as the songs go on, and this one does too. Around like 142 it starts playing these like really like cool ascending and descending notes, and yeah, it sounds video gamey, but it still sounds very like loose and like ethereal, like a lot of Melos's music does.
Yeah, like it sounds video gamey, but it sounds kind of like, again, I made this comparison, I think, on the Hypnospace episode. Like, it sounds like software from 1997 kind of stuff. Like, it's got, like you're saying, these ambient noises mixed in. I don't remember noticing all these noises when I first played the game 2 years ago, or nearly 2 years ago. I guess maybe because I was playing with headphones this time. I have notes and a couple other songs about, like, how cool these, like, more ambient noises are and stuff. It just, yeah, it's cool. It's also, like, when you're or the timestamp you're talking about, the 142-ish, it just gets so damn funky around that point. It actually reminded me of the forest world in Runner 2.
Oh, okay.
Which is a great comparison because that's my favorite music in Runner 2.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, it's just so funky. I love the synth coming in around 209. It's cool. It just has such yeah, like a 90s CD-ROM vibe. Like it totally fits like this block puzzle gameplay going on, even though, again, this is during the game's equivalent to boss fights. So like there is like a little more tension here than you hear for most of the soundtrack, but not like a ton. It's still kind of like, it's still cheerful and almost like naive, kind of, which also makes me think of the 90s. But yeah, we'll talk about that more when we get into the actual game, and we'll play the other linking song later in the episode and stuff. But I think that's all the notes I really had. Did you have anything else?
No, yeah, that was all I had for this one. Just really good stuff.
Yeah. Again, every song on the soundtrack is great, but yeah, that was one where I gained new appreciation for it that I didn't have before. Before we get into the proper episode, we have our normal housekeeping and all that to go on. I will quickly note that we did have our most recent Bit Har mini, that is to say, a mini Bit Harmony. We recorded and uploaded that last week. That was on the Earthblade soundtrack, composed by Lena Raine. She released what she had worked on, what she had completed of the Earthblade soundtrack, Earthblade being the canceled game from the Celeste developers, Extremely OK Games. That said, as a reminder, Bit Harmonies are behind the $5 and up Patreon tier level over on the All In Patreon. So if you want to hear that, you got to pay up.
Yep, got to pay up, and it's a good one. It's worth popping the 7-day free trial and checking it out for it. I thought that turned out really well. I thought the conversation was great. The music's great. So if you like this show, you should be interested in checking that out. And hey, it supports us while you're at it, so it's a win-win.
It is literally just more of this show in a more condensed, slightly. It's still over an hour long, I think, or just under an hour.
Just barely over. I think it's like an hour and 3 minutes or something, and yeah.
And we're going to be doing more of those. We have at least a few more already planned, so if you want to hear more of this show and you aren't already on the All In Patreon, you goofed.
Yeah, you did. Well, actually, speaking of Patreon, and I don't want to harp on this for forever, but I do want to make sure that we're saying this because it is a pretty recent enactment. If you do choose to support us on Patreon, we obviously really appreciate it. With that being said, Apple recently enacted this like arbitrary 30% fee that they're tacking on to Patreon if you sign up via their iOS app. So don't do that. Don't pay an extra 30% to Apple for no reason. Just do it on the desktop site. And if you're going to support us on Patreon, we appreciate it. It's patreon.com/allinmedia. The links are in the show notes. We appreciate you doing that, but just please don't do it from the iOS app. Just do it from the desktop site. Don't give Apple any money. So yeah,
for your sake, just don't do it that way.
Yeah.
But please give us money.
Yeah, please do. I mean, we appreciate the support, but yeah, Apple, don't support Apple's greed. Just just support us.
We have no reviews listed, but we do have some comments. Yes,
we do have comments. No new reviews. As a reminder, you can support the show for free by reviewing it on your podcatcher of choice, Apple, Spotify, whatever. 5-star ratings. You don't have to give Apple any money to do that. You can just review the show. And
not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Anyway, soon they'll be like, give us 99 cents to review a podcast. But no, it's very, very much appreciated. So please do that. But yeah, we do have several comments, on the previous episode. The first one comes to us from Wilk, who commented on the Patreon post. And I guess this is in response to me talking about my drinking habits. Which
that makes it sound like you've got a problem.
Like I'm an alcoholic. Yeah. No, I mean my habits related to just actually drinking non-alcoholic beverages. As in, I currently have a water, a coffee, and a tea on my desk. Wilk says 2 to 3 drinks is totally normal, especially brunch. Mimosa, coffee/tea, sparkling water. And I think Wilk was trying to like reassure me that no, you're not that weird for having like 2 to 3 drinks at all times.
I feel we talked about it a little, but yeah, I feel like for most meals I have at least 2 drinks in front of me. And yeah, I kind of forgot about brunch. I haven't had brunch in years and years.
Either.
I was about to say, you feel to me like you're not a brunch dude.
No, I mean, I love breakfast. Like I love like my favorite. I mean, I've said this before. Like my favorite restaurant, almost period, is Waffle House. Like I love Waffle House. Unironically, I get like emotional talking about Waffle House. Waffle House is like that. That is to me like the everything that is good, the last remaining vestiges of the good in humanity can be found at the Waffle House. in my view. So I love breakfast, but I don't really go for brunch all that often. No.
I will say, I always viewed, like my whole life, I've always viewed brunch as pretty hoity-toity.
Sure.
Which isn't to say I don't enjoy it. I do quite enjoy brunch. I'll also note that Wilk and his wife are the brunch kings and queens of Nashville. Every time I'm in Nashville, we are brunching it up, and it's great.
Hell yeah.
I haven't had a mimosa in like 7 years at this point. That sounds pretty great right now. But yeah, I did find it very funny that, of course, Wilk was the one that brought up brunch.
Well, I also appreciate that y'all have reassured me that I'm not that weird. My whole life, I have been ostracized by my friends and family for being the guy who always has a lot of drinks. So I do appreciate this safe space that has been created for me.
What are they doing though? I don't understand.
Just laughing at me.
From my perspective, well, no. What are they doing with their drinks then? Because
sure.
If I'm at a restaurant, like, yeah, I want water and a soda or whatever. That way, like, you can cleanse your palate with different things depending on what you're eating. It just makes sense.
No, I completely agree. That's exactly how I feel. But like ever since I was a kid, I've been like that, and like people would always kind of be like, "Oh, really? Like, get them a water and and this or and that," and like they'll kind of raise their eyebrows and kind of act like I'm pompous or like I'm a diva or something like that.
Huh. I don't think I've ever encountered that. I guess I've never thought about it before. Also, I'm pretty oblivious, so maybe I have been getting criticized and I just never noticed.
Yeah, well, it's fine. I appreciate the reassurance all the same, and I'm gonna keep doing me. I'm gonna keep drinking 3 drinks at all times. Why not? I work with my voice. I have to keep the instrument, well tuned with liquids. Okay, we have a couple of other comments, both on Patreon and on Spotify. Both of them actually related to episode requests, which is interesting. So, Newt. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, commented on the last episode on Spotify, please do Chibi Robo next. I mean, look, you don't have to twist my arm too much. I love Chibi Robo. Don't get me wrong. I love that game, especially the first one on GameCube. I'm a huge fan.
The only Chibi Robo game I've ever played is Ziplash on the 3DS, and
wow.
I bought that just for the amiibo. That was the main reason I got it. I'll note that I think Ziplash is pretty good for what it is. Like, yeah, it's not the best thing in the world, but I remember people were really dogging on that thing, and yeah, I'm obviously, if you're expecting like the GameCube game, obviously it's not that at all. But for what it is, I thought it was pretty okay. I'm gonna save my comments on Chibi Robo as an episode request until after we read this next comment. Then
sure, I'll go ahead and read this then, so that we can speak a little more freely. Ligerwoods 330, who is one of our Patreon supporters, longtime Patreon supporter, we appreciate Ligerwoods, commented on the Patreon post for the last episode. You guys really do have the best dang podcast. This was easily my favorite episode so far. Nothing makes me reminisce about my childhood faster than thinking about Kirby music. Also, there's a slight chance that I was at that Chili's that texted you a couple months back. I'm not going to give them your number, but if we don't get a WarioWare episode, Chili's might call again. I'm kidding, I promise.
There's something very like, I don't know, like crime dramatization of like, well, I might have been at that Chili's last week that you got the call from.
That very Chili's. Chili's, I want to just reiterate that, I think I said this in the last episode, Chili's is the perfect restaurant for this. Like, I love kind of hitching our horse to that wagon. Like, there's no better, like, something about a Chili's, like, that just reads so, like, Americana, like, restaurant culture to me, Chili's.
Yeah, I was explaining this to my wife that we got a call from Chili's, and again, Chili's isn't a thing over here. The few times she's in America, I never took her to a Chili's. Surprisingly, I don't know what I was thinking. I should take her to a Chili's, but she's just like, yeah, what's at Chili's? I was trying to think about it. I'm like, it's just kind of nothing. It's just kind of like, my memories of a Chili's is that it's way better quality Applebee's. but
Yeah,
it's still like it's like a 6 as opposed to a 3. You know, like that's kind of what I think about it.
It's still not good. Although I will say one of my favorite videos on the internet is have you ever seen the behind the scenes of the Chili's baby back ribs recording video?
I didn't know there was a behind the scene, or is this a bit? Is this actual real, or is this a bit?
It's real. No, it is a real behind the scenes video. You got to look this up. It brings me so much joy. It's just like, 3 or 4 guys like gathered around a mic. I want my baby back, baby, doing that whole commercial, and they're recording it there live, and you can tell like when they recorded it. Like, you can tell that they got the take, like the one that made, like, it instantly, it's unmistakable. You're like, oh my God, like that is the one that made it into the commercials. But like, they would throw like little improv things. Like when the guy landed on like the little like background, like with barbecue sauce, like when he landed on that, he was so stoked. He was like, dude, this is brilliant. I figured it out. And they all just like are laughing about it and just having such a great time. It is so infectious. You have to look up that video.
Yeah, no, that sounds like something I would like. So yeah, I'll quickly note. Yeah, thank you both, Newt. I really do like the name Newt, if that is how that's pronounced. That's pretty good. Thank you both, Newt and Liger Woods 330 for commenting at all. But yeah, and definitely thank you, Liger Woods, for the kind words. I know you've kind of been like one of our bigger supporters from like day, maybe not one, but pretty early on, because I think Liger Woods like found the podcast somehow, right? It's not, they weren't like an all-in carryover. They kind of found it on their own.
I think so. Yeah, I think Liger Woods. I don't remember how our paths crossed, but yeah, Liger Woods has been a big supporter on Patreon. Engages with stuff like $2 Hero Cast a lot. And yeah, has been like a Bit Harmony fan basically from the beginning, and yeah, like I really appreciate Liger Woods' support. The infamous Mario Kart stream, where I played and ranked every course in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Liger Woods 330 was the benefactor of that stream. So,
dude, I'm genuinely mad. This is another tangent, but I was gonna suggest you do a tier list video of all the Smash Bros. Ultimate reveal trailers.
Oh, that's a good one.
But I forget his name. He used to be on like game trailers and stuff. He just did that. Now I'm mad.
Really?
I should have suggested that to you weeks ago when I thought about it.
I mean, I'll still do it. Who cares?
Yeah, you can, but it makes me feel less like original and like a free spirit or whatever. I'm just a cog in the machine, I guess. So anyway, when it comes to the request, because yeah, I think what happened was when Parker requested Cave Story, we said, yeah, please don't call in with requests just to request. Like if you want to leave a voicemail of other stuff and also request, that's fine.
Sure.
Or if you want to comment, whatever, that's all fine. So I think that's why these are both coming in at similar spots. Yeah, I want to do both these because I think they both sound awesome. When it comes to Chibi Robo, we're gonna have to like I'm going to emulate that, or I guess I could just watch videos of it, but that's not the same to me. I'd rather just play it myself. When it comes to WarioWare, and this is specifically a question for you, Liger Woods, do you want us to just do the original Game Boy Advance Mega Micro Games Inc. WarioWare, like an episode dedicated just to that? Or were you looking for like a Super Monkey Ball-esque, we're covering the whole series kind of thing? Because we're not going to get to it for at least a few months. We basically have everything planned out for the next couple months. So I'm wanting to start planning ahead for after episode 30. And I would like to do both of these as part of an event that I'm coming up with that I think would be fun. So let us know in like the comments or the Discord, however it works best for you. Let us know because yeah, I want to start planning that. I think both these sound pretty fun.
No, I love both of these games. You don't have to twist my arm. Like, in particular, the first WarioWare is like in my top 10 favorite games of all time. So you really don't have to twist my arm to talk about WarioWare. But yeah, there are a couple different approaches. Again, Chibi Robo will take a little more legwork because yeah, that game is not widely available. We will have to emulate it. I've played it, but it's been, years. I will say I did, like, because of that comment, start listening to the soundtrack on its own, because I was like, Yeah, it's been a minute since I've actually like listened to Chibi-Robo's music. I'm like, yeah, no, this rules. This is definitely worthy of doing an episode on. So I'm happy to do both of these, and yeah, we just need to find the right structure for it, the right placement for it. But yeah, these would be great.
Yeah. I'm very committed to getting these done. Again, we're a couple months out from being able to start really thinking about it, but I basically promise, as long as we're both still alive and the world hasn't ended, we will do both these episodes. I promise.
As long as I draw breath, there will be WarioWare representation on Bit Harmony.
Yeah. How did you feel then about the Kirby and the Forgotten Land episode?
You know what's funny? I didn't really, so a little behind the scenes, I guess. That was a nightmare to record, that episode, because I've been having internet issues with my internet service provider recently. Like, my internet here lately will just, like, drop for an hour or something. And we had, I think, 2 separate internet outages during the recording of that episode. But, first of all, we didn't actually lose anything while recording it, despite that. And we both kind of picked up on this even in the moment, but it was especially clear, I think, on listening back, that it gave the episode a certain energy to it that I think you can kind of feel, especially coming into like the back half of the episode, to where I think that episode kind of became, despite everything, one of, if not the best episode that we've ever done. Like, it's really, I think I hold that episode in very high regard. I did have a note here that I wanted to make sure, because when I was listening back to it, I just thought this was funny. So at one point, my internet went out, and I don't even know if you realized this when it happened, but you essentially, like, going into the second break, if you go back and listen to the episode, you basically just like carry us along to the break, because I had like dropped out of the call. And as you're going into the second break, you say something to the effect of like, we're going to talk about Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which is what I was born to do, you know? And then later in the episode, keep in mind, I had dropped out of the call. I did not hear you say this until listening back to the episode. Later on, I say almost the exact same thing, because we start talking about like Mario enemies, and you had this moment, you're like, I know I'm talking way too much about like Mario enemies, and I stop you and I'm like, Matt, I was born to do this, you know. It's just a very funny moment of like totally unintentional synergy, and that I got a big kick out of that listening back to the episode.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't remember that either. Like, when you said that this is what you were born to do, I didn't remember that I had said that a little bit ago. I think I realized like halfway through speaking at that point, I'm like, oh, okay, Seth dropped out of the call. Let me just get us through to the next break or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think it's my favorite episode of the show, and I don't think it's even a biased thing, because in fact, I know it's not. Like, there was just something, when we came back from like your long internet outage, I was like just ready to go. I was like, let's get in here and let's do this. And yeah, I don't know, it just turned into something more. Like, it even caused me to like do things in the editing phase that I normally wouldn't do, because I'm like, this episode like deserves like a little extra love and attention, I guess. Yeah, no, it was great. I had a real fun time listening back to it. It was fun making. Yeah, it was just awesome.
Oh, dude, like the moment we get to the YouTube comment and we read that comment about King Dedede, like, that's an electric moment, dude. That was like so good. Like, that episode just felt great. Like, I'm really happy with how it turned out. And like, we got the comment from Liger Woods. We got a voicemail that I guess we'll play later. Kind of, you know, everybody has been excited about that episode, and that felt very validating to hear. So I appreciate y'all like letting us know, you know, when something we do hits, because like making podcasts can feel like a very like thankless kind of, you know, effort sometimes. Like, you never know, like, when you make something, do people even like what I'm doing, you know? So it does feel really good when, like, you know, somebody like a Liger Woods or a Fulia like actually goes out of their way to say like, hey, no, like, I really dug this and this really spoke to me. So yeah, I appreciate like all the kind words about that episode. I felt it too. It was really good. So real quick, I wanted to make another note of this. This is also in relation to the last episode. I'd forgotten that we went on a little bit of a tear on fandom wikis At one point, this is Spriteless in our Discord community informed us that, and I thought this was just cool. I did not know this. If you must use a fandom wiki, you actually can change the URL to anti-fandom. So if you use a fandom wiki, put anti in front of fandom in the URL, and it will load a version of the page without ads, and it'll actually let you know if there's like a real proper like fan-made wiki out there for the thing in question. Had no idea this was a thing. I thought it was actually very cool, very useful. And I just wanted to shout that out here because we did reference it in that last episode.
Yeah, no, this is amazing. I tried it on a couple just to see if it worked. And yeah, it's awesome.
Great.
This is the kind of stuff that you only find out in like a small little Discord server, you know. This is that kind of internet sorcery that is like gifted to you, and
it
you
feels
cherish
like getting
it.
the eye in hypnospace. Like that's what it feels
Yeah,
like.
that really is like that.
Yeah, man.
Well, speaking of Kirby and the Forgotten Land, then let's get into the state of the Nintendo Music Address. And I say, speaking of Kirby and the Forgotten Land, because Kirby and the Forgotten Land kind of got added to the Nintendo Music app. I say kind of because they added just 23 tracks from the game. I'll list the composers again just for the sake of the listener. But like we talked about this. We have a whole episode. It's the previous episode. If you really want to hear us talk about Kirby and the Forgotten Land, hey, do I have a podcast for you? But yeah, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, once again, composed by Yuta Ogasawara, Hirokazu Ando, Jun Ishikawa, and Yuki Shimooka. And again, like we don't need to talk about anything really with the soundtrack. But this is weird that they just uploaded like half the soundtrack or whatever. And I follow a person on Blue Sky. I forget their Poly something's like POLLEY001 or something like that. They do like archivist work on the Nintendo Music app. Like they like comb through all the pictures and they find like discrepancies between like the European version of the app and the American and the Japanese and stuff. They were saying that they believe what's going on is that Kirby and the Forgotten Land, even though it came out in 2022, the official soundtrack release only came out like 6 months ago. And so they still are wanting to maximize sales of the official soundtrack while still giving Nintendo Music users some Kirby music or whatever. And that makes perfect sense. I still think it's garbage. I still think it's dumb as hell. But from a logic perspective, I understand. I just don't want more uploads like this.
Yeah, this is stupid. Like, I'm sorry. I understand. Yeah, you had linked me to that post and everything. That all makes sense logistically. But I'm like, dude, how many more of these damn soundtracks do you really expect to sell in the next like 6 months? Like, for real? Like, is it really that? And I also understand another thing that I appreciate is that the Nintendo Music app just comes with the basic like $20 a year, subscription. So it actually is very cheap to use the Nintendo Music app as opposed to something like Spotify. You're going to pay more in like 2 months on Spotify than you will for a year using Nintendo Music, So I am sensitive to all of that. It's still stupid.
It's dumb.
Like, come on, man. It's just a dumb staggered release, and it completely zaps a lot of the like energy. Like when the rest of these tracks get added later on, we're gonna be back here doing whatever episode we're doing, and it's just gonna be like a lead balloon. You know what I mean? Like it's just gonna fall flat on its face. And I don't know, man. I will say one thing that I do appreciate, out of the 23 tracks that they added, they did add like the really good stuff. In fact, I think that all except for maybe Metro on Ice, I think every other song that we had in our episode was represented in this drop, I think.
Yeah, it was definitely most of them. Like, I know, Northeast, Frost Street was on here, Roar of DDD was on here. Like
a libel mall, the beach, like, it's all on here, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like they just, like, gave us, like, the lesser tracks or whatever and saved all the goodies for later. Like, they really did, like, they split it in two or whatever, this release. But, yeah, it's just weird. Like, Again, if it was like a splitting the DLC from the base game kind of thing, I get that, and I can even kind of appreciate that. But like, I don't want to have the actual game's soundtrack split up like this in the future. But
Right.
I also am cognizant of the fact that Nintendo doesn't fully own Kirby, so like there probably is stuff with that going on too. So I'm not gonna come down on them as hard as maybe I should.
Sure.
I do appreciate that this was uploaded for the 3rd anniversary. That was the reason why we did our episode on it when we did. For whatever reason, the 3-year anniversary seems like the sweet spot for Nintendo music, because Pokemon Legends Arceus, they straight up said it was for the 3-year anniversary there too. So, just don't do this much, if at all, in the future. But I at least appreciate that there's some good. They put some good tracks on here. Much more interesting is today they uploaded both F-Zero, the Super Nintendo original soundtrack, as well as the F-Zero X expansion kit. So F-Zero on Super Nintendo was composed by Yumiko Kanki and Naota Ishida, and the F-Zero expansion kit, or rather the F-Zero X expansion kit, I assume was composed by the same composers as the base game, which were Taro, Bando, and Hajime Wakai. So, okay, first of all, Sean Capri, I don't want to be yelled at anymore. I don't want to be tagged anymore. Look, F-Zero rules. The soundtracks for all these games rules, and this is one of the few like classic game soundtracks that they've uploaded so far that I'm like, yeah. I mean, I do think it's weird that it wasn't already on here, but I'm also like, yeah. Like, I love the Super Nintendo F-Zero soundtrack. You obviously have stuff like Mute City and Big Blue. That's fine. We've heard of that a billion times in a million different crossover games like Mario Kart and Smash and stuff. I've always been a big Silence guy. I think Silence is the coolest F-Zero song. I think it's just one of the coolest Super Nintendo songs, period. I'm very glad this is on here. This is one of the few like 16-bit era video games whose soundtrack I will actually listen to from time to time.
I'm with you. I mean, I added a lot of this stuff to my workout playlist this morning. Like, I was at the gym this morning, literally on the elliptical, listening to this music. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is the kind of music that I want to actually, like, listen to in part of my daily routine and stuff like that. I feel like it's doing more than just checking a box. You know what I mean? Like, the checkbox soundtracks are the ones that should be on here to begin with because they're ubiquitous. If we're adding games, that are like first-party Nintendo things that are these kind of classic soundtracks, they should at least be interesting. We talked about Dr. Mario a little bit on the last episode. F-Zero, I think, is another good example of this. And adding the expansion kit music from F-Zero X, I'd never heard any of this before. And I had no idea that just has like a F-Zero-ified version of Mario Kart 64 Rainbow Road in it. And it rules, dude. I was like, wow, I can't believe they did this. I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that you would know because, yeah, for those that don't know, the expansion kit for F-Zero X was exclusive to the N64 DD, which is the disc drive, which never left Japan. So this effectively, I don't know everything that's in here, but I believe a level editor is also in this expansion kit. So I assume there's like at least a few new tracks that Nintendo built as well as a level editor. And yeah, they have like a cheesy butt rock Rainbow Road in here. Dude. And it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, like I was genuinely very surprised and impressed. Like that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for out of this app. I mean, we talked about it when they added in the last drop with Tetris, and they added that cut, alpha version of the Tetris A theme. I'm like, dude, I want more stuff like this. I want that feeling of like excitement and discovery. Like this is exactly the kind of thing I'm looking for out of this app. So yeah.
It also, I think, is maybe the first time that I've really appreciated like a weekly release cadence, because they put F-Zero X, the base game soundtrack, up a couple of months ago. I remember talking about it on here. Yeah. And I remember people were like complaining about the expansion kit music not being in here, but the fact, like, if they never added it, yeah, that would have sucked. But like this way, they get to spotlight it. Like, hey.
Right.
we're adding these. It's just 6 tracks, by the way, too. It's not anything huge, but yeah, it gets to spotlight these like way lesser known tracks from this game because again, you've probably never heard these unless you watch a billion video game music videos on YouTube, kind of thing, you know. So, I don't know. It made me feel like there are actual humans working on this app and like scheduling things and actually like thinking about things. I think it's also kind of cute that they paired the expansion kit songs with original F-Zero. You know, for whatever reason, I think that's kind of cute.
Yeah, so I feel a lot more positive on this drop than I have on a lot of more recent State of the Nintendo Music addresses. My letter grade for this will be a B+. I'm not gonna go into the A territory. If we had gotten the full Kirby and the Forgotten Land soundtrack,
this would have been a perfect. This would have been like an A+. If this, that's the thing, is if they just had handled the Kirby thing differently, then yeah, this would have been like maybe the best drop period. So like, yeah, I also am giving it a B+. I think this is the first time our grades have aligned.
Oh wow, and ever?
I think so.
Wow.
I think I'm like always a step below you or a couple steps below you, but yeah, like this was great. And yeah, just think of how much better it would have been if they hadn't messed up the Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Yeah, full Kirby soundtrack, and you would be getting full marks from me. But yeah, as it is, I feel good at B+. Yeah.
It's nice that we get to have one of these. Hopefully that placates Sean for a couple more weeks.
He's going to be like, how is this not an A-?
Is Sean a big F-Zero guy?
He's a huge F-Zero guy. He loves F-Zero. Okay. Yeah.
Like all of them or just the Super Nintendo one?
I think it's mostly Super Nintendo. Sean in particular, I don't want to get on too big of a tangent about this. Sean loves the Super Nintendo is like the like core of Sean nostalgia. Like Sean loves the Super Nintendo. That's why he's all about, you know, donut planes. You get him talking about UN Squadron and he'll, you know, that's like one of his favorite games of all time. Like he loves the Super Nintendo. So F-Zero I know is very near and dear to his heart. There's a great moment, Extra Life, the year before last, so Extra Life 2023 is like 3:00 in the morning. And Sean and I are like the only ones awake, you know, and we're both just delirious. And Sean was playing F-Zero 99 on stream, and he and I were like singing made up lyrics to the soundtrack, like to Big Blue, singing about like one of the donors or like like just talking about, you know, just stupid, just, you know, fun times. And anyway, he loves F-Zero, he loves the Super Nintendo, so I know that he was very excited for this.
F-Zero rules. I love basically. I don't like the GBA games, but I love X on N64. I love GX on GameCube. I'm a big
GX guy. Yeah,
GX is probably the best one. I agree, but like I love the 3 like main console core F-Zero games. The main memories I have of F-Zero was when going over to my buddy Jim's. I mentioned him on the Dust Force episode. He called in a couple episodes later. Him and our other buddy J-Rod were like doing time trials in F-Zero over the course of like weeks or even months, and like just going over to Jim's one night and he's practicing F-Zero tracks for time trial purposes in, you know, like 2011. Like that's the kind of energy I love to see out of my friends. I love just getting super deep into like a 20-year-old game.
I love
doing time trials. Yeah, that's what I like. Anyway, let's go on our next break, and then we'll come back and talk about Sephonie in depth. For this next break, we've got Chasm of Towering Oak and Linking with the Curious Creature. These are all great names. Something about linking with the Curious Creature is very cute, but we'll be back, and we will talk about them. That was Chasm of Towering Oak and Linking with the Curious Creature, both from Sephonie, both composed by Melos Han-Tani. Chasm of Towering Oak almost did not make the cut. When we did our Anodyne 2 episode, again, literally our second episode ever, our first ever dedicated game episode, we crammed so much of that damn soundtrack into that episode. It's disgusting. That what we did should be considered illegal. Like, we basically just ripped off Melos to just put half his soundtrack in an episode of a podcast. And I didn't want to make that mistake in this one. You know, I've learned since then it's better for my sanity and also the audience, I think, if we don't try and cram too much in an episode.
Right.
But it's also so hard because Anodyne 2 and Sephonie both have two of my favorite soundtracks of all time. And like you said, like, we're always having to like kill at least some of our darlings when we're talking about it.
Yeah, I was thinking about maybe it was Dust Force. I remember there was one where it was like there was an episode where we were really like struggling with like the cuts. Like some of the cuts felt real egregious. And that's happened a few times. Yeah, I am glad that we included this one though, because this is one of my favorite songs in the game, also representative of like probably my second favorite area in the game, behind one that I know we're going to spend a lot of time talking about later. But yeah, I love this song. I love the vibes of it. I love the vibes of the area. It's like this big forest with, like giant sort of like trees, like kind of dotting it. And I love like kind of, I don't know, just the feeling, like the platforming there, the way that you can like zip to some of the creatures there. I don't know. There's just a lot of cool feeling platforming in that area. The song itself has a real like, it feels mystical and like kind of playful. Like it's like one of the earlier areas you go to as well. So there's something like, the song's very expressive of like the joy of the like pursuit of knowledge. Like the song almost like makes me feel like the joy of like discovering and like learning a place. Like it makes me want to go on like a hike and just like listen to this while hiking and like taking in the natural world around me, you know?
It's funny because like I have that basically that same note about like the joy of like discovery and stuff for like a different song we have later on in the episode. But yeah, I totally get. That's how I know we're both analgesic pilled, is that like we're talking about like existentialism just from hearing one song and whatever. Yeah, it would have been a mistake to not include this song. It's a very unique vibe, even for like a game that's already very unique and has a very unique soundtrack. It is probably the area that you traverse the most in the game. Like it's kind of in a centralized spot, so you keep coming and going through this area, and each time you have like different abilities like getting you through and stuff. It is one of my favorite areas in the game too. Like, yeah, you're doing a lot of platforming around like one central giant tree, and like there's all these different. You're having to activate like fungus on the tree.
Yeah,
you're having to like zip through the bird frogs and stuff. There's so much cool stuff in this game in general. But yeah, I think this area in the game is where that's like most prevalent, I guess. When it comes to the song, the only other note that I really had was around like 155, the like discordant piano keys, they just kind of like slam themselves into the middle of the song, and then they just hang out for a while. It's like they forced their way in, but then they're there, you know?
Yeah, I'm really glad we included this.
I'll also note, when we were talking about like different like ambient noises and stuff, there's all these kind of like dripping and popping noises going on.
Yeah.
But I think there's like these popping noises that specifically are the same noises that the game plays when you zip onto like the bird frogs we mentioned.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah,
which
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just very cute. It's just like a very cute attention to detail kind of thing. But yeah, I do really like this song. This is another one. This one I knew how much I loved it 2 years ago, and then I kind of forgot how much I loved it until replaying the game and hearing the soundtrack again. For Linking with the Curious Creature, this is the other linking song in the game. This is the one. It's probably the song that you hear the most throughout the entire game, as long as you're actually doing the linking, because I guess for the most part the linking is optional. I guess after the first,
a lot of it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Besides like the boss fights, which you hear the other linking song, like most of it is optional. But yeah, I'd highly recommend if you're playing this game or thinking about playing this game that you do the links, and we'll talk about them more when we get into the actual gameplay. But yeah, I just find them very fun, and this song is, again, very fitting of like this kind of 90s software puzzle block vibe. It's also just, I don't know, it just reminds me of like a PS1 like Final Fantasy mini game or something. Like I could be playing like cards to this.
Totally. Yeah, you know what? This song reminds me of Maple Story specifically. Like this is the most like Maple Story ass song to me. Like, and I know that Melos is a Maple Story fan, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was a specific point of inspiration for him on this. I think I showed you some of the Maple Story music, like the Slime Tree music in particular. This reminds me of like something about that, just kind of like guitar going on with that kind of like weird whistly melody. Something about that little whistly melody. It's really like weird sounding, but it also has a way of like, I don't know, man. Like it feels kind of nostalgic, and it kind of gets stuck in your head a little bit. Like that little melody, like it just has a way of warming in there. And yeah, I mean, like I said, this is like the linking song for me, and it's also, I think, the first time, and it happens early in the game. Like literally, when the game opens and it's teaching you about linking, you encounter this song early, and I do remember like the first time playing it being like, whoa, like this is like this is way different than I would expect, you know, to hear here, and yet like it you know, it perfectly fits. And yeah, if you're not linking with everything possible, like we are not the same. I love the linking in this game.
Yeah, like I not only do I find the linking interesting from like the dialogue that you get and just seeing the different like low poly creatures that you're linking with, but like from a gameplay standpoint, each and every link has like a unique gimmick going on, be they like unique tiles that do different things, or like every board is a different layout and stuff. They really went above and beyond with the linking in a way that I really feel they didn't have to at all.
It could be its own game. Like the linking could be its own little thing. Totally.
They did a survey specifically about the linking. I remember taking it like a year and a half ago, and I was hoping that they do something. I mean, maybe they will still down the line, but yeah, I really like the linking. But we'll talk about that more in a little bit when we get down to it. Let's talk about some Sephonie then. I'm going to read off this description of Sephonie from Melos Han-Tani himself. This is on like all the YouTube music descriptions.
Okay.
It's probably also on their Steam. I'm not exactly sure where this came from beyond their YouTube, but this is Melos describing Sephonie. In this story-driven 3D platformer, explore Sephonie Island's massive cave network and link with unidentified species using the novel puzzle grid system. Explore the island's depths as shipwrecked biologists Amy, Ingwen, and Ryu, whose personal histories come to bear on the shifting spiritual landscape of the island depths. And I will just say that is a much more succinct and better description than I could give, as evidenced by the fact that you're probably about to listen to like a 2-hour discussion on Sephonie.
Yeah, it definitely, they summed it up well, you know, and we're definitely going to talk about a lot of those things in much more excruciating detail.
much more tear-filled and anguish, and yeah. I do really like the shifting spiritual landscape of the island depths. That's a very good. I mean, hey, I know they're both pretty good writers based on the fact that I really love the writing in all their games. But yeah, that line is pretty good. So anyway, Sephonie, released in 2022 on PC, 2023 on Switch. As stated above, it is a combination 3D platformer, block puzzle game, and visual novel. You are playing as a team of scientists or researchers, Amy, Ingwen, and Ryu, that are shipwrecked on the island Sephonie. You come here on a research expedition with a new Onyx Link technology that basically allows the three of them to connect with all the different species on the island, to learn about them and gather data. I never fully, I guess when they're talking about their Onyx Link technology and linking with these things, you can like understand like some of their thoughts and stuff after you
Right.
link.
Right.
So it's almost like you are literally like biologically connecting with them, but also like almost like emotionally and spiritually connecting, but you're connecting with like algae and bats and stuff. It's a very interesting concept.
The game has a lot to say about that. The game, and we'll get more into this, I'm sure, but one of the things that I love so much about analgesics games in particular is that every element of their games are always very cohesive. They all feed into each other. So, like, every element about this game is about connection and understanding and meeting meeting things and people where they are, and learning to speak the language of other things and people, and even the language of this game in a lot of ways. And so like you're literally learning to like communicate or understand the inner thoughts and feelings of like some coral, and like that's a very weird and like heady sort of concept, but by any other, metric or lens that we consider ourselves as humans, like why shouldn't the same be true of anything else, So
Right, like anything else that's alive, like should at least be considered. And that's that's a thought I've been having more and more over the past like 6 or so years. But yeah, as we get further into the current hellscape we're living in, it really is like, yeah, the world would be a better place if we actually considered things maybe a little bit more. When it comes to the gameplay of Sephonie, it is relatively linearly structured. Like there's some secrets off the beaten path, but generally speaking, you're going into an area, you're getting to the main, again, in quotes, like boss puzzle. Again, I say that it's a non-violent game. Like no one is being hurt, generally speaking. Well, I say that, but some bad stuff happens near the end.
yeah.
But yeah, you're exploring this cave system on the island Sephonie, and it is like Sephonie becomes like personified. Like there is like a seemingly somewhat physical manifestation of Sephonie, or maybe it's not even fully physical. Maybe it's just a mental projection, but they do have a humanoid form that ends up communicating with the three main characters. And you traverse this cave system. And yeah, the caves kind of get more and more dreamlike the further in you go, especially when you go into these 3 specific areas that are based off of the memories of each of the 3 main characters. And this is all in the hopes of connecting with each other more and with Sephonie itself, so that you can attempt to stop this null virus, which is like at the heart of the island's caverns, and is going to, in 50 years, break free and unleash a pandemic on the rest of the world. This game was developed during the pandemic, and they make it very clear that it was. Like they tell you the years that this game was developed, and it started development in like late 2019 and ended in 2022. So that should give you a good idea of like where their headspace was at when they were making this. And by they, I'm speaking of Analgesic Productions. We have talked about them before, again, on the Anodyne 2 Return to Dust episode of this podcast. Their previously made games have been the likes of, again, Anodyne and Anodyne 2 Return to Dust. Also, Even the Ocean, which is another underrated one that we will probably do an episode on that in the future as well.
Yeah.
And like I said before, our second episode of this entire show was Anodyne 2. Their next game, Angeline Era, is slated for release later this year. Probably the game I'm most looking forward to right now. The demo was very good. It's interesting. We talked about it on the Anodyne 2 episode. Like, that game isn't super gameplay focused. Like, it leans way more into puzzles and visual novel stuff, whereas Sephonie definitely has a much bigger emphasis on challenge,
right,
as well as like player input and stuff like that when it comes to the gameplay. Angeline Era feels like that too. From what I played of the demo, it is bump slash combat, kind of like the old East games, where you have a sword and a gun, but you don't actually swing the sword yourself. You just walk into enemies and your character automatically swings at them. So that turns into a lot of avoiding attacks and getting into a good position to bump into your enemies and then bump slash them. Analgesic Productions is a two-person dev team that is consisting of Melos Han-Tani and Marina Kitaka. Melos is also the composer for all of their games. If you like what you're hearing, what we've already played for you of this soundtrack, I would highly recommend just checking out the other soundtracks or the games too. But specifically, if you like the Sephonie soundtrack, I guarantee you will love all the other soundtracks. Again, Anodyne, Anodyne 2, even the Ocean. Seth and I have both stated multiple times on this podcast that Melos is definitely my favorite modern video game composer.
Easily. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's not even a contest. I won't even use the qualifier of like for indie games or anything. Like, no, straight up, Melos is my favorite modern video game composer. And yeah, Angeline Era is like literally the top of my most wanted games list right now. That's kind of all the generalities I really have about the game. We will talk a little bit specific about some of the gameplay right now. I figure we should touch on the non-traditional controls for this game because we haven't really mentioned it yet. And I think it is probably most people's sticking point with this game. Basically, instead of being like a Mario platformer, it's kind of like a combination of Tony Hawk mixed with I don't know what else to like. It's like parkour basically, and so you can still move around with the left analog stick, but you move pretty slow. And so if you need speed and momentum, you have to run, and to run you hold down the ZR button. So it's like, think of it like accelerating a car, but you're a person. And when that happens, the camera like pans, it snaps to behind you and the camera locks in place while your character just starts running wherever they were facing forward. And that also lends itself to the parkour. So like if you start running towards a wall and then jump at the wall, your character will do like a wall run, which then you can jump off of it and stuff. Later challenges in the game, you start having to chain a lot of this together. Like you get to go from like a wall run into a jump, into another wall run, into a midair dash, into like a jump pad and all this kind of stuff. The platforming does get pretty involved, and I think personally pretty satisfying. I don't think this is me being biased just because I like Analgesic Productions games in general, and I love their soundtracks and everything. When I'm a fan of non-traditional controls, and I know you are too. And I totally understand people's like hesitation towards some of them. And do I think that there is like a little bit of jank here in Sephonie? Yes, there is like the camera movement isn't. I wish it was like smoother, kind of. Or again, I'm not a game developer. I don't know exactly what I want, but there is like a little bit of friction between me and the game that even after playing this game for like 30 something hours over the course of the past 2 years, I even did a speed run of the game. It wasn't very good, but I beat it in like an hour and a half or something. Despite all that, there is like a little bit of friction with the controls, but like in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter. Like the checkpoints are very, very frequent and generous. There are plenty of accessibility controls, including like an infinite jump, like you just keep jumping through the air or something like that. Yeah. I think. But also like I love games with non-traditional controls because of the feeling of mastery that comes from getting a sense of what's going on, you know? Like I recorded my whole first playthrough of this game 2 years ago, and watching myself struggle for the first like half an hour even to like do basic things, and then skipping ahead to the end of the game where I'm like doing all these crazy platforming challenges at the end of the game. It was cool just to see that, you know, let alone the more gradual progression to get to that point. I crave things like that in games, so it's frustrating for me to hear people immediately dismiss a game just because the controls aren't as like one-to-one as Mario or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly am at this place where I've been playing games for over 30 years, and I don't like I have very little interest in playing something that just gives me exactly what I want and just is, you know, perfectly polished and has nothing for me to think about or be challenged by or anything like that. And I'm not saying that I want like every game to be as non-traditional as Sephonie. Like there's definitely, you know, room for something like that. When the next Mario game comes out, I probably have a pretty good idea of how it's going to feel to play that Mario game. You know what I mean? But like something like Sephonie, it's kind of a treat for me to play something like this where, yeah, you do have to spend time to learn how to play it and to learn how to speak its language. And once you do, there is a certain level of mastery that comes from that I think, because I think there are a lot of people who would look at this game at the surface level and say, well, the controls of this game are objectively bad for, you know, whatever they think that means. And I'm like, I don't know how that can be true when, like, I can go back and I had like an experience with this too, where when the game first came out, I put almost 20 hours into it, and for some reason just kept like going back and playing it and stuff. And by the end of that, I felt like I had learned the game well enough to where now replaying it, you know, for the first time in however many years, coming back to it, it did feel like putting on an old leather jacket or something. Like it felt like it took a couple seconds to like kind of, you know, work my brain back around the game. But once I did, I was kind of zooming, you know, and I'm like, oh, right. It's because like I learned how to communicate with this game. And not only is that thematic to the game itself, which I think is also really cool, but it's what I like about video games. Like I want to learn that, you know, I'm always wanting to learn how to see and do new things in a video game experience. I don't want everything to just feel the same as everything else, you know? And I love that about this game. Another quick little note that I have always been very charmed by, when they're tutorializing the game for you, you're just like running into little question marks and reading dialogue boxes or whatever. But there's something about when they're teaching you the wall run, they say like to like approach the wall at a glancing angle. And something about that, like that, I've never heard it like said that way, like a glancing angle. And now that is like wormed into my head. Like I always think of anytime I wall run in a video game, some like voice in my head is say like, I'm approaching the wall at a glancing angle, you know? And it's, I don't know, it's stuff like that. I just love it.
Yeah, it's funny. We just had, at the time of this recording, we had a Nintendo Direct, not the Switch 2 one, but what stuck into my head with the Metroid Prime 4 footage from that trailer was the announcer talking about psychic abilities and traversing the environment with psychic abilities. Like, I love stuff like that in video games, but yeah, glancing angle is way more of universal. I can't really talk about traversing the environment with psychic abilities in any other context, but glancing angle, yeah, I could use that for other stuff. It's funny, like, I didn't pick, like, I had noticed that, but it didn't stick in my head, and now, because of you saying that, it will forever now also be in my head. But
I just feel like that's talking to me. Like, I feel like it's just saying, like, approach the wall at a glancing angle. I love it.
You know, it reminds me of, this is a weird thing to reference, but in Captain America Civil War, when Vision is trying to cook food, and he's a robot, and it tells him to use a pinch of whatever, and he's like,
yeah.
A pinch? Like, it's...
yeah.
But, yeah, that's what this game is. Like, it is, you know, I feel the same way about all of Analgesics games. Like, they feel like the most human-made games I've ever played. And that, I mean that in, like, all ways. Like, I mean that in the stories, I mean that in, like, again, I used the word jank earlier, but yeah, I would almost, that sounds negative. I would call it, like, imperfections, but, like, they're imperfections that make the game what they are. I wouldn't change basically a single thing about Sephonie at this point. Like I said before, I really loved mastering the control. Well, I shouldn't say mastering. It's not like I'm a professional Sephonie player by any stretch, but I was really blown away. I remember the first time I played this game, again, around 2 years ago, it took me like well over like an hour and a half to get through like the final gauntlet leading up to the null virus and stuff.
Sure.
I just finished up yesterday. It took me like half an hour. I was like genuinely proud and pleased with myself. I don't know. It felt really good. It feels good to pull off these maneuvers. And again, the only thing I would change, I wish the camera was like a little more like dynamic or something. I don't know exactly what I would tweak, but for me at least, it's a pretty small complaint in the grand scheme of things. And again, it makes me think of like, video games in the 90s, which is the era that like all people our age love to evangelize and put up on a pedestal. Games all played super differently in the 90s. Even platformers, they all played very differently from one another. Like, you have a bunch of games inspired by Mario, but beyond like the Gianna sisters, almost none of them play like Mario or even have similar controls. So where did we lose that like that desire for like experimentation and stuff? Like, I don't know, it feels like from like the Xbox 360 era forward, games have just become more and more and more homogenized, especially their control schemes. And I get it to a certain extent from like a mass market product like Call of Duty and all the games that are now using basically the same control scheme of Call of Duty. I get that. But like, I like it. I like it when platformers in particular are doing things differently because, Analgesic Productions, it's two people. They can't make a Mario like quality and quantity level game, So this game feels like it's playing to their strengths of like, hey, we're challenging you by asking you to master something new. Like, I don't know, anyone can make one-to-one controls, but can two people make a whole game built around those one-to-one controls to the quality level of a Nintendo game? I probably not many people probably. I don't want an indie Mario Odyssey. I want an indie game,
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's frustrating for me too. You and I are both big Kid Icarus Uprising fans, and that's always the comparison that I draw when I talk about this topic, because that's a game, when it came out, all anybody could do was talk about how they wished they could play it, like it was Star Fox or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, all anybody could do was talk about how like bad the controls were or how uncomfortable it was to play and blah, blah, blah. Same with like Skyward Sword. When that game came out, all anybody could do was say, I wish this wasn't on the Wii. I wish I could just play it with a regular controller. And I'm like, and again, I hate to sound like gatekeepy or whatever. Like, I'm not trying to say that I'm like better than anybody else because I am more receptive to non-traditional controls. But I will say that like at a certain point, I think that gamers like kind of evolved into this place or like put themselves into this corner of feeling like, I need video games to be what I want them to be, I need video games to be whatever my like imagined idea of them is. And if they don't meet that, then I'm not going to give any of my own input. I'm not going to try to meet the game where it is. I'm not going to try to learn anything about the game. I'm just going to say like does it check this box? Does it fall into, does it measure up to the imagined yardstick that I have of what a good video game is? Yes or no. And if it's yes, then I'll keep playing it. And if it's no, then I won't. It's never no, but let me maybe see what they're going for here. Like nobody has that anymore. Very few people have that anymore anyway. And it's frustrating because I remember before Sephonie was coming out, looking at like videos and reviews of people who like, I could tell even just watching their videos, and I'm like, you don't get it. Like, you don't understand like what they're trying to do here. And you're not really like allowing the game to show you what it wants to show you because you're so hung up on what you think the controls should be. And it's like, well, the controls are not like that. And it's like, is it so bad to sit there and learn how to play something? And yeah, where did we lose that along the way?
It's weird. Like the gamer, the average gamer mentality is so conservative, and it's so weird. Like I know the factoid or whatever, which I think is kind of made up nonsense anyway, but that people get more conservative as they grow older. Like, yeah, to a certain extent, that's probably true. But to me, it's not even that. It's more so you just get stuck in your ways, and that is literally the definition of being conservative. And it's so weird to me that a whole generation of people raised on video games are now they just want these completely homogenized experiences. Like I said, like you said, I've been playing games for over 30 years now, and I've seen behind the curtain many times, even though I've never made a game myself. that's kind of like the final frontier for me, I guess, at this point. But I want to be surprised, like, by a game in some regards. And, again, even AAA games do manage that sometimes. Like, hey, I love Titanfall 2. You can't get more like AAA dumb dude bro-y nonsense than that, right? But it is, for what it is, it's incredible, especially from a gameplay standpoint. But so I'm not saying that you can't enjoy those games and have fun with them for what they are, but yeah, just open your hearts a little bit. Like,
right.
try and enjoy things with an open heart and an open mind. Like, yeah, not every game is Grand Theft Auto 6. Thank God. Like, I don't want that.
It. I mean, do you remember playing like Yoshi's Island for the first time and being like, wow, like, this feels weird. Like Yoshi feels different. I can throw eggs. Like, what the hell's going on here? That's exciting. Like, and what I'm telling y'all is that Sephonie, to me, captures that exciting feeling of, oh wow, like this, like what's going on here? Like how? Like, what do I have to do? I have to approach the wall at a glancing angle. What are we doing here? And to me, that's exciting, and it does end up feeling like this weird 3D platformer by way of Tony Hawk or something like that. And I don't know. I find that very cool, very appealing, and I wish that more people would kind of open your heart a little bit. And again, like, what's so cool about this game is that is also the theme of the game. The game is all about learning and understanding, and in every element of the game, that is what the game is trying to tell you, even in just controlling it. And I think that's brilliant.
I do want to, before we go to our next break, I wanted to touch a little bit more on like the linking puzzles. I don't have that much to say about it that we already didn't cover previously, but I really do want to shout out how clever a lot of them are, particularly the boss ones. I apologize. I forget the name of like this specific boss. I think it's the second one, the one you link in Ingwen's stage.
Yeah, but they're called like aren't they called like key species or something, like the required
key species?
Yeah, the required boss fights that are essentially like the essential organs or something of the island of Sephonie, which Matt said earlier is effectively like its own living being. Yeah.
There was lore that I hadn't picked up on until this most recent playthrough, actually, where basically like an asteroid crashed down that had like alien, bacteria on it, and that it seems to be what has like empowered Sephonie and like made this cavern system so full of life in a way that like other cavern systems wouldn't be, which I thought was interesting.
That's cool. Yeah.
But yeah, in this one, the second key species, or third, I guess it would be the third key species, I think, there's all these like teleportal blocks. And so the main goal of it, if you want like to beat this link as fast as you can, is to get the right colored blocks. You have red, green, and blue. Get them in the right spots, and then when like all of these spots are covered in the right color, it teleports them to like a point multiplier area over to like the sides of the screen that are normally inaccessible. I love that puzzle. Every time I replay this game, I love doing that linking. It's so satisfying to me. And that's just like one small example of like, again, every single creature that you link with, even just the normal ones, they all have a unique thing going on. There's like bacteria that like change the color of the blocks that you've placed, and there's ones where you can only put the puzzle pieces down when they're nearby like a bacteria, like they're lighting up the path for you. It's very, very extremely thought out for what amounts to, like, again, in any other game it'd be kind of throwaway, but like none of these are hard. Like, I don't think I've ever failed a single one of these. And if you want, there's also an accessibility feature to make these easier. I don't remember what it does. I think I turned it on once just to see, and I think it maybe just makes the points easier to get or something.
I think so, yeah.
But they really didn't have to go this hard on the linking puzzles, but they did, and I'm so glad they did, because it just gives the game so much more flavor.
No, I think it's great. Like, and yeah, so few of them are essential, and there's like, I mean, there's got to be dozens of non-essential links, and they're all like different. and they're all varied. They all feel different, even though they're essentially just like matching block. It's, you know, Tetris or whatever, basically. But it's like, you know, it gets so much depth and variety out of that concept. And Analgesic's just so good at that. Like, they're so good at taking something that is very simple on the face and making it like way bigger than the sum of its parts, you know? And yeah, it ends up feeling like an essential like pillar of the game to me. And it's one of the things I think about the most, like when I think back to the game, because you're rewarded with connecting to these creatures or these plants or these fungi or whatever, and you get like a little bit of flavor text, and you get to like hear the thoughts of like these things or whatever. And I don't know, it's cool. Like it's a cool sense of reward. And not only that, in future links, you get like puzzle pieces that are like tied to, they're like associated with things that you've linked with in the past. So you're almost like bringing the knowledge of like the links that you've made before into like your current and future links in a weird way. Like, I don't know, like it's cool to even just that little touch of being like, oh yeah, like this block represents that whale that you linked with 2 hours ago or whatever, you know. And I don't know, I like that element of it a lot.
Yeah, and it's also just cool because, yeah, they're contextualizing the act of what you're actually doing through gameplay. Like, all of this, they could have accomplished, like, kind of the same thing from, like, a flavor text standpoint or storyline standpoint by just giving you dialogue boxes. Like, these, it could have been all these creatures that were just, like, hidden, or not hidden, but, like, you had to do platforming challenges to get to them, right?
Right.
And a lot of them you do, but then you also just have to link with them afterwards. But, yeah, they could have very easily just taken out the block puzzle aspect and just had you link with them through a text box. But I'm so glad that it actually is a gameplay related thing, and that like also it's kind of nice actually having like a break from the actual platforming and stuff to just like sit down. I'm just going to do a puzzle real quick. I'm going to link with this lizard and see what's up.
Yeah, and none of them take super long. Like even the boss fights are not going to spend more than 3 to 5 minutes or something on them. You know, yeah, it's great.
And with that, I think we are going to go on our next break. When we come back, we're just going to talk about whatever we want that we haven't already talked about, which is going to probably mostly relate to the story, of course. For this break, to tie in with talking about the story, I plotted in Mindshare, The Mutual Flow, and Flowing Golden Highway as our break music this time. And we will be back to talk about these. That was Mindshare, The Mutual Flow, and Flowing Golden Highway. So Mindshare, The Mutual Flow, this plays when you complete the Onyx Mindshare links with like the key species links.
Right.
Because when that happens, most of the time, that is also giving you direct insight into the three main characters also.
Mhm.
So you get these like, I don't know, like stream of consciousness, like visual novel sections where you're seeing into the subconscious, sort of like a swirling subconscious of one of the characters that you play as. And for me, this is where the best writing of the game generally comes from.
Absolutely.
It's so interesting how it's done too, because it feels like in any other context it would just be confusing. But again, the writing is so strong and the theming is so strong that it does make sense, and I don't like it. It is not hard to follow, and I feel like it could very much have been harder to follow. So I don't have much to say about Mindshare, The Mutual Flow as a song too much. I just think it's beautiful. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm so familiar with the game at this point, or I'm reading too much into it, but like the song just feels like it's like pure longing that it was like distilled into song form. Like this is normally more of a Seth thing of like associating the song to like an image or a memory or something.
Sure.
But like when I hear this song, like to me, it's like a hot August evening, like a week before school is starting back up, like middle school, like that's the place this song puts me in.
Yeah, I have that. It's so funny you say the word longing. I have literally that word for another song that we'll talk about later. About another song that we're going to cover, conveying a feeling of longing. I have that exact note. But yeah, this song is the one that reminds me the most of Anodyne 2. Like, I can imagine this song being in that game. But yeah, it has this, like this song to me almost is like the song of like Sephonie itself. Like Sephonie, the character. Like, it has that right mix of feeling it's kind of scary. It's got like these big, deep, reverberating, kind of like cave sounds almost to it. But it's cut through with this very like plucky, light, gentle, like kind of string instrumentation, xylophone kind of like playful kind of sounds to it. It does feel, you're right, it does feel very like longing, because the thing about this that we haven't really said is that while, yes, these researchers are on this island, Sephonie, that has also been sort of personified, as much as they want to connect with Sephonie and learn about everything on the island and link with them and learn everything they can about this island and this virus, it also wants to learn about them. And so it does this by connecting with them and almost like formulating things in the island around their own lives and memories. It wants to learn about the things that these people ate and the places they come from and the feelings that they've had about their families, about race, about politics in their world and everything. Sephonie wants to know all of that, and kind of reminds me of and it's funny because I've talked to Melos and Marina in the past, and I know that they're Steven Universe fans. And it reminds me of like that initial pitch of Steven Universe. Rebecca Sugar's like, what if like these awesome, like magical girl anime aliens came down to Earth and they were fascinated about us. Like the mundanity of our normal lives is what is fascinating to them. And so it is a longing of like connection and knowledge from our place of understanding, but it's also from Sephonie's place of understanding. And in a way, isn't it kind of nice, like to have something be interested in you? Does that make sense? Like to have something that actually wants to know more about you is a kind of cool feeling. And I feel like this song somehow conveys that feeling,
It's almost like there's kind of like a scariness to it, because again, Sephonie is like literally this like alien manifestation of like geologic structure that's come to life and is now communicating with you. Like there's there is something like kind of alarming about that, but then like the more I think about it, it is actually beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's beautiful stuff, and yeah, I mean, should we talk about the other song?
Yeah, we can talk about Flowing Golden Highway.
This is like I know that you feel the same way. This is like the moment of the whole game for me. Like, definitely my favorite song in the game. One of my favorite moments in like any game ever, really. Because this is like Amy's kind of moment. You kind of mentioned it. All of the three researchers, the protagonists of the game, kind of get their own vignettes, their own little moments. It almost is like Sephonie is like making this weird pastiche. It's almost like AI generated in a weird way. Like, you know, when you look at like AI generated art and it's kind of like a messy mishmash of like other things. Like that's almost what, obviously this isn't, but it has that kind of like weird, like generated thing based on like Amy's memories. And you come into this area and it is this area of Bloomington, Illinois, where she's from. And the entire thing is just kind of bathed in this golden light that is coming off of the key species that is in the far distance, essentially operating as like a mini sun or something. And the whole thing is this pastiche of kind of Midwest America, which is just disparate pieces of highway and cornfields and diners and cars on the side of the road and stuff like this. And we can get more into the specifics of that stuff here in a second. But I say all of that just to illustrate that this song feels like what it is like to like this song feels like what it is like to come from a place like that and miss it despite itself. You know,
I had like basically the exact same note. Yeah.
Right. Like to even though I know how I felt living there, and you and I both come from the Midwest United States, and which is like where this whole level of the game takes place. Like, even though I know how I felt living there, and in many ways it's like a miserable place to live, it's still a part of me, and it's still a part of me that I love, and it's still a part of me that like I wouldn't trade for anything in the world. And this song captures that. This song feels like complicated emotions about your home, and it's like there's something about it. Like, it's very textured. It gets more intensive at like various points of the song, but throughout the entire thing is the kick of this drum that sounds like a heartbeat, you know? And like what it kind of tells me is no matter how complicated you can feel about the place you come from, you can have these levels of intensity, anger, sadness, you know, nostalgia, whatever, but it's still at the heart of you, you know? And there's something just indelible about that place that is never going to leave the core of who you are, you know?
Yeah, no, you already hit on like most of the things I had written down, which is funny because like I have a whole like paragraph of it. This is probably the most I've ever written down about like a specific song that we've covered here before. But yeah, you hit on most of it, including that heartbeat. I don't know, despite how many times I've listened to this song, because I've been listening to this song since like before the game even came out. I think this was like Melos uploaded this on YouTube before it ever came out. Despite how many times I've listened to the song, I don't think I noticed the heartbeat, which is funny because especially in the first like, I don't know, like minute and a half or so, it is pretty prominently in there.
Yeah.
You know, at some point it does kind of like fade away to like other percussion, and then like that's when like the song really feels like it's bursting to life. But yeah, that heartbeat really hit me this time. Like I was really like, again, I know this game's like I knew this part of the game was coming up and whatever, and I was looking forward to it. So I was already like emotional, but yeah, just the moment I stepped in here, like it hit me. It's weird. It was like coming back to a place that I haven't visited in a while, even though it's this warped dreamscape version of like a off the highway Midwest town, you know? I mean, yeah, when this game came out, when I played it the first time, I'd been living in Germany for a year and a half at that point, and like, you know, there's still parts of America that I miss a lot, but then like you said, when I look at it, like I remove myself from the emotion of it. I'm like, yeah, there's besides like my friends and family, there's not actually much I should bother missing about America, especially right now. Besides free drink refills, that's a genius American invention that the rest of the world should just get in on. But uh, but yet I can't help myself. Like when I see stuff like this, when I experience media like this, and you know, a big theme of this area is Amy talking about like being grateful that she grew up here, even though she is aware of the fact that this is kind of like a dead end town. I mean, there is like this futuristic research lab here, but like there's nothing else really going on in this town. It's again, they talk about like the cornfields and stuff. And I know I lived surrounded by cornfields for like 16 years of my life. There really was nothing going on but high school football and corn. And she specifically, the thing that gets me the most in this section, and I know we're like kind of dancing all around the section and the song itself and blah, 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 but the thing that gets me the most was there's this, you can talk to this like this astral figure, and all three of the character vignettes have this aspect where you can hear what these like ghost vignettes or these ghost figures are saying. And one of them is Amy talking about learning how to drive.
Yeah.
I grabbed this whole quote here because it's just perfect. She says, "I learned to drive highways out here, flat, perfect beginner territory, taking breaks at rest stops. Some of my college friends had to learn in mountainous California. I wonder how they managed." And as someone that has always gotten extreme anxiety from driving, like I didn't get my license until I was like 18 because I was genuinely really scared of driving. This hit so hard for me because when I did start learning how to drive, I was like, well, thank God I'm in this completely flat Midwest town. There's nothing going on. There's two main streets. If I just avoid those streets, I don't even see someone else on the road. I mean, that hit so hard for me, like this anxiety about like something as simple as learning how to drive, you know, and the benefits that living in a small Midwest town give you in even this way that isn't actually, if anything, it's kind of bad that you don't learn to drive in more demanding areas, you know. It definitely did not prepare me for driving in a city like Hamburg. Not that I have done that yet, but I am very intimidated about driving in this city at some point in my life, maybe. And that's partially on me. But yeah, I have always been grateful that I learned how to drive in a small Ohio town, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's something about like when I was a kid, growing up kind of in the Chicago area, like my dad would have us and my younger sister and I, and we would drive from where he lived to the city, which is where my grandparents lived, and he would drop us off there for like months at a time, you know. And but I remember those drives, like, you know, the Midwest, Illinois, Ohio, Indiana, like it really is just a bunch of like that area of the country is just a bunch of cities connected by flatland, corn, and nothing. And then like, and just suddenly you're in a city, you know, but like it's like you're going through some kind of weird, like, you know, slow portal or something. Like you're driving through this weird liminal space of just endless rows of, corn and orangey sunset. And, you know, in a way it's completely depressing and miserable, but in another way, it's also weirdly beautiful and nostalgic. And I remember like being a kid and just like being on those car rides to my grandparents' house and looking out the window and kind of just like daydreaming while looking over like the endless rows of corn and, you know, and just thinking about everything and, you know, and just sitting with the emotions that I had. And it's funny because now that I live in a bigger city, I mean, even when I lived in a smaller city, I rarely was given I rarely allowed myself that space for contemplation. There's something about being in a place that is flat and boring means that, yes, it's flat and boring and sad. It also means that you have a lot of space to think and contemplate and just exist because you're not doing much of anything else. As an adult now living in a big city in loud Texas, like I kind of crave that. And I know that I don't really ever want to like live in that area of the world again, but I do miss the way that kind of thing made me feel. And this whole section of the game made me think of all of that, like all of those complicated emotions. And it made me think of like another version of my life where my parents didn't get divorced and I did, you know, spend my whole life living in Illinois, and how different would I be as a person, and all of this stuff. And yeah, like I remember when I first started to learn how to drive, and it, you know, having those just areas of flatland. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's a very like, it's a weirdly like the in the sort of like sad root of nostalgia. It is a very sadly nostalgic area of a game, more so than basically anything else I've ever experienced in a video game.
Yeah, like this area, it I don't know, it unearthed so many emotions in me that I didn't even realize that I had. It also makes me think, I think I've told you the story before, maybe on a different podcast, but on the way to the airport, on the way to Columbus, there was this giant dirt pile off of the highway. And I don't know, whenever we would drive to Columbus over like the 15 years I lived in Ohio, I would always just think, whenever we got to the dirt pile, I'm like, yep, there's that giant dirt pile sitting there.
Yeah.
And when my wife, when my now wife started visiting me in America, whenever we'd pass the dirt pile, I'm like, hey, there's the dirt pile. Like there's the giant dirt pile. It's like a bit, you know? And then there was one time, it was like the second to last time she visited before I moved here. And I was just trying, you know, those were always sad times, you know, we only got to see each other for like a few weeks out of the year. And there's one time in particular, she was very, very sad about it. And I was just trying to cheer her up any way I could. And we were passing the dirt pile. And I said, honey, look, it's the dirt pile. Say bye to the dirt pile. And she just broke down completely crying.
Aw.
And but like that's what this area makes me think of, because like there's the only thing notable for an hour and a half is a giant dirt pile.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, but there is something beautiful about that, even just like a giant pile of dirt, like that it became recognizable to me. I'm like, yeah, it's a dirt pile. But yeah, like those emotions came back to me playing through this area. I also think about tying it back into like the start of COVID. My wife was visiting right before COVID hit America, and those couple weeks she was there were so weird and uncertain, and everything was shut down. And then the drive to Columbus to the airport was so, I've never seen highways that empty in the middle of the afternoon ever. Like we literally passed like 3 trucks on the way, the hour and a half drive to the airport. And yeah, we also saw the dirt pile then, of course, too. But yeah, I've never had any game ever evoke so many emotions out of me just from like its pure landscape and the music playing on this section of the game. And again, it's not like it's a long section. Like none of these areas of the game, they're not going to take you usually probably more than like 45 minutes an hour. Maybe on your first time through, they take you a little bit longer. But it's, and we haven't even talked about like everything in this section. You know, there is still another thing I want to address in this area too. But that's just like the power these games have. Again, when I talk about this game, all of analgesics games feeling like they're so made by humans, like you can see where human hands touched like all of this stuff and all of its imperfections and stuff, and that's what makes it so good. That's what elevates it for me. And this whole section is like the perfect example of that. Like everything is enhanced by the human, by the fact that you could tell humans made this game, you know?
I mean, and again, I bring all of this back to like the theming of the game. By playing this game, like we have Onyx linked with the people that made it, you know? Mm-hmm. Like I feel like we both have a better understanding of each other now because I played this game that they made. There's a moment, and this happens in all of the Mindshare stuff, where it just becomes like boxes of text and pictures at a certain point. And this happens after you do the key species link. And most of the pictures, if not all of them, I assume, come from just Melos and Marina's like real life. There's one I have a few screenshots from this game that I've just kept on my Switch. And one of them I have pulled up here because it hit me like a ton of bricks. You know, when I think of Illinois, growing up in Chicago, I think of my grandparents that lived there, and they're both dead now. They both passed away. My grandfather passed away in 2009. My grandmother passed away last year, and I remember having this feeling when they both passed away that like, wow, like there's like a piece of like a big important piece of my childhood that I feel like died with them, because my parents got divorced and I was very early. I won't get into it, but my biological father and I had a big falling out when I was like 15. And ever since then, I was more or less like estranged from that whole side of my family. And so it felt like I had these people, this part of my personality, my upbringing, my family that was so big and so important to me for like half of my life. And then at a certain point, it was just kind of gone, And I remember having the last conversation I had with my grandmother before she died. We just talked on the phone for like I knew that she was dying, and we just kind of had like a nothing withheld conversation on the phone. She's like, man, like, and one of the things I remember she said was like, wow, I really wish we had more time. Like, I wish things were different. I wish that like I wish that things didn't go the way they did, and I wish that we could have spent more time together, And I remember having that thought after she passed away that I that I think is really perfectly put in this little moment in Sephonie. And it's from the Mindshare link from this area of the game, and it includes a picture of, I assume, either Melos or Marina's. You don't see their face, you just see their hands. They're holding like a box of chocolates or something, and I assume it's one of their grandparents. And the quote is, "Each grandparent you lost felt one step closer to the inevitable, losing your parents. That was too much to think about, even though you're lucky to have and love both your parents and to have met all your grandparents. You don't know if you deserve your mourning." And man, that last line, "you don't know if you deserve your mourning," I still think about that. Like that is like one of those lines that just like it just sticks with me. And I remember feeling that way after my grandmother died in particular, of like, wow, like this big piece of me and like my upbringing in the Midwest, in Illinois, in this whole area, is gone now. And I feel like the only thing I can do to hang on to it kind of just exists in my heart and my mind. And I don't know. This I knew this is going to be like an emotional thing to talk about in this episode, but it's just something that like that this game really spoke to me with. And it's the kind of thing when you play something like this, you're like, wow, I can't believe that other people feel this way too. Like that other people had these experiences and that we shared them. There's a quote that I love from a writer named Kazuo Ishiguro. He won a Nobel Prize for his writing years ago, and he has, I'm going to butcher this quote, but he had like a speech that he gave where he talked about the nature of storytelling, and he says something like, stories are about one person saying like, this is how it feels to me. Like, can you understand what I'm saying? And does it also feel this way to you? And all storytelling is like that. And I don't know, like, it's nice when you can connect to a story and being like, yeah, like I do understand what you're saying, and it does also feel this way to me. And analgesics games do that every single time, man. They really do.
Yeah, like that's what's so frustrating, trying to convince people to play their games, and then to be hit back with like, well, that, it's no Ocarina of Time.
You're
like,
right.
That sucks, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like that opinion is garbage. It hurts. Like it's when I say it hurts, it's not that like my feelings are hurt because you didn't take the time to connect with something, or you can't. And I understand to a certain degree, some people aren't going to be able to connect with all the themes that I can connect with, right? But still, it's like I think if you take the time and you sit down and you think about it, you can understand, at least, even if you don't personally connect with all of these themes, why it would hit for other people. I don't know. Again, it's just, I think the world would be a little better off if we just like took a second and like considered other people sometimes. You know, I don't think that's too much to ask. I did want to talk about this real quick. Again, we're still in the Bloomington section, but yeah, a different line from the mind share where Amy is, well, I guess it's second person, so I guess it's kind of Sephonie reading Amy's thoughts, basically. But her grandma never learned to speak English, and so she couldn't really communicate with anyone outside of her family, despite living there. And it says, you'll probably never find out what it's like to die separated by an impenetrable language barrier. You feel lucky to not have to immigrate for financial or safety reasons. You know, some people don't have a choice. And yeah, that hits me real hard. Again, I'm an American that has been living in Germany for a few years now. And, you know, I'm 35, so I'm approaching midlife crisis times.
Sure.
To be fair, I think I've been having a midlife crisis for the past like 20 years.
I'm with
anyway,
you.
But there was this time a few years ago. It was the first year I lived here, and my wife, her dad is a stonemason, and so he does like tombstones, or did tombstones back when he was still working. And so she kind of grew up hanging out in like graveyards to a certain degree. And so graveyards don't really have the same, like, obviously it's still sad, but she doesn't view it the same way as like a lot of other people do, of just like, this is just where the dead people go and where I can go visit their tombstone, right? Like she all the time brings up memories of she had like a little watering can, and like while her dad was out walking around like getting measurements and stuff, she would fill the watering can with water and just go flower the waters on people's graves and stuff. And so she likes just going to visit graveyards just from like a nature perspective, and just also just appreciating what it is and what it means. And I've always been scared of death and dying. There are, you know, not to get too heady and whatever, but I'd say at least once a month there's a night I can't fall asleep because I'm thinking about dying, right?
I'm with you.
And so right after they announced the Animal Crossing New Horizons DLC, I swear these thoughts are all going to connect in a minute here. My wife, who's the biggest Animal Crossing head there is, she wanted inspiration for like how she was going to decorate her town and stuff with all these new items and stuff. And so it was like, I don't know, September or October, I think, when that was announced. And we just took a whole afternoon. We just went to this big, massive graveyard over here near us. And like, it's so big, like there's like a whole bus line just for the graveyard and stuff. And it was very beautiful. And like, it's still one of the days, despite living here now for a few years and being married for years, I still think of that day a lot, of just a day we spent just walking around a graveyard, not even looking for anyone in particular's grave, just enjoying the peace and the quiet and the nature and stuff. But in the back of my mind, the whole time I was thinking like, yeah, like I'm probably gonna die in this country. You know, I'm probably never going back to America. And like, even though like, what does that matter? You know, like what does it actually really matter, especially after I'm dead? But like, there is still something about like, yeah, I'm not even from this continent, let alone country, and like my body is going to be here. You know, like there's something there is something very sad to me about that, even if the reasons that I left are purely because I fell in love with someone. But like, there is this level of like I'm not in my home country, and even though there's a lot of bad stuff about my home country and even my hometown and whatever, like I am still a foreigner here, and I will never fully click and fit in. Like the looks I get from people when they find out I'm from America, I don't like it. It's very idolizing, and I hate it. I hate it so much, to the point where like when we're out in public, I try not even speak that much unless it's German, but even then they can still hear from my accent. Like I don't like it, having to have the conversation of, oh, where are you from? Like America, because then they get this look in their eyes of like, oh yeah, that's like the best place on earth. And it's just like, man, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to have, anyway. this is all to say that this is all specifically what I was thinking when I was playing through the Bloomington section on this most recent playthrough, was just like the game has so many themes about like borders and like how it's just made up nonsense. You know, it's Metal Gear Solid 3 in that way. Like, what are borders beyond just like political lines being drawn for the benefit of like people in power? It doesn't benefit you as a person at all. In fact, if anything, it's harmful for basically everyone besides the people in power. It gets real into that, and as someone who is actually an immigrant, and I never thought I would say that. You know, 5 years ago, I never thought I'd be able to say like, yeah, I'm an immigrant. And even though, but also like my circumstances are still so much more fortunate than most immigrants' circumstances, you know, and like that messes me up too. Like, I feel like I'm a selfish idiot for like dwelling on this for so long. And even there is this level of like, I don't even feel right calling myself an immigrant. I'm just a big dumb idiot that moved like here and got married.
Survivor's guilt kind of thing or something. Yeah, for sure. I don't know what that feels like, but I appreciate that this game does tap into some of that. It's interesting because like by way of knowing these characters, and I know that we're not going to have time to really like sink our teeth into like Rio or Ingwen's sections in the same way we do with Amy's here, but they're also great.
They're just as good, with just as many like thought-provoking themes going on.
And we could spend probably another 2-3 hours talking about their sections, but I do remember like they tap into things like that, like and there's a moment where I think it's in Ingwen's section where she talks about how her mother or her grandmother or somebody like when she was a kid, they were like a researcher or something, and she assumed that like her grandmother was just like throwing like ice into the ocean to cool it down or something like that, but like really she was just trying to convince the people who could actually make those decisions that was something worth doing.
I have that whole quote here written down because I really like it. It's her mom. So
her mom,
it's your mom was in the government and you imagined her pouring ice into the ocean to cool it. Mm-hmm. But then one day you found out her job was convincing stubborn people with money that, actually, maybe they should invest in something besides oil to burn up the planet and space rockets to escape once there's nothing left.
Yeah, I love that this game like taps into that feeling too of like there's just so much going on here that they're talking about, from like all of these complicated emotions about like how it is to be alive on this planet, and like the preservation of what we have, cause like the people in power are interested in just piecing out, like when you look at people that are looking like legitimately like Elon Musk wants to go to like Mars or whatever, it's like, well,
so does Jeff Bezos. Like they literally want to get off the planet.
And it's like, oh, like so the richest people on the planet are trying to throw up the deuces and leave. Okay, well, I guess that, rather than trying to invest any of their money or resources in saving what we have, So like all of that stuff kind of comes to the fore, and they have a way of like articulating those feelings. And weirdly, and again, we could get way into the weeds on this, but we shouldn't belabor any of these points too much. But I really connected to Ryo's character as well, as somebody who often feels misunderstood by people because of whatever my demeanor or the way that I sometimes communicate. I can sometimes come off as standoffish to some people, or like cold or uncaring sometimes to some people or whatever, and Ryo expresses a lot of frustrations in that too. Like he sometimes struggles to make connections, and he sometimes feels misunderstood by people, and I really connected to a lot of what this game had to say, and even in the stuff that I couldn't relate to directly, I could empathize with it, and I could appreciate how beautifully expressed those feelings were from the, from the writing, from the mouths of those characters, from the memories of like Sephonie connecting to them and understanding them on a like deeper, more intimate level,
I think that might be a good spot for our next break. I know that maybe that's abrupt, but I kind of like the way that went, where we really focused on Amy's section, which is the first like major section of the game, really.
Yeah.
And then if any of what we're saying sounds good, or you also want to experience existential dread, then you can go buy Sephonie yourself and play the rest of the game. There's plenty more of it, you know?
There is a lot of it in there. Another thing that we don't really have time to get into it. Probably, maybe we can talk about it a little bit after the break. This is also like my favorite piece of pandemic art, I think. Just period. And so another thing I would urge people, if you are interested in like a lot of the emotions that come with that, as well, this game also gets into that in a big bad way in the ending, and the game also has like an epilogue that I consider like required playing even after you quote unquote roll credits, you know?
If anything, it kind of sucks that they listed it as an epilogue. I mean, it is an epilogue. There's no real gameplay besides the final link, but yeah, like it is the end of the story. It just takes place after a time skip. So yeah, if you end up playing the game and then see that you unlocked an epilogue, like, no, make sure you play the epilogue. Do not skip over it.
Don't skip it. Yeah.
I do want to read off, I don't know if there's a better spot for this. Ryu has, I think, despite how much we talked about Amy, I do think Ryu is maybe the character who I relate to the most in this game.
Right.
Again, he has a lot of thoughts on marriage and stuff too that really mirror my own. But he has this quote here that just, it says, "Joy exists. It's just, sometimes it's hidden in between all the friction, waiting to be scraped as from the end of an artichoke's stiff petal." And yeah, I don't know, like reading that right now, that's got me like teary-eyed, you know, like it's just something, it's simple. And like, again, I'm not saying that it's like Shakespeare or whatever, but the plain language of it makes it better in this case, you know, like there is such a thing as keeping things simple and straightforward, because there is plenty of flowery language in this game too, but I really quite like that. Also, it fits Ryu, who's more of like, I feel like he's more pragmatic. Him and Amy are both kind of the more pragmatic ones.
Yeah, Ingwen is kind of like, even like the characters are like represented by like shapes even, and like Ryu is like a triangle, like he's like kind of pointier, you know, whereas like Ingwen is kind of the more like hard on her sleeve, like just very emotional, loves everything and everybody, you know, kind of thing. And yeah, Amy and Ryu are definitely the more pragmatic, like buttoned up kind of, you know, maybe a little more guarded, you know, than Ingwen is.
But yeah, I just figured that was a good spot for that quote. But yeah, I imagine we will still, after this next break, we'll talk a little bit more about themes and stuff probably. But that said, let's go on that next break. This break, we're going to play you Imagined Intimacy and A City Soaring, and we will be back. That was Imagined Intimacy and A City Soaring, both from Sephonie. I'll just say real quick about Imagined Intimacy that this is the song I have the least notes about. I just really like it a lot. It's just very pretty. This is probably the one that most reminded me of Anodyne. Yeah, I don't know. It's just okay. I will say I knew that last section was going to get heavy. I didn't think it was going to get as heavy as it did.
Yeah.
But I purposely put Imagined Intimacy right after that section because I figured we would need like a cool down.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And also, yeah, I didn't think I knew it was going to get heavy too. I also didn't think it was going to get that heavy. I didn't know I was going to be bringing my own dead grandma comment.
Yeah, we are the dead grandma comments of this episode.
Literally. But this is actually like, this is the one I mentioned earlier. This is the song that to me conveys like that feeling of longing so well. It's so gentle, this song. Like, it's so like, even when the song does have like a drop in quotes, it's around 1 minute and 5 seconds when the drums kind of come in, but even that is so light and like understated. It's just so, it's so calm. It's so like, it's so sweet. Like there's like a sweetness to it. And I don't know, like it really, this song makes me feel kind of like warm and fuzzy when I listen to it, you know?
Yeah, it's very soothing, and yeah, it's very, like I don't often call things pretty. Like usually I'm defaulting to like beautiful, but yeah, because of how gentle this song is, I went out of my way to note that yeah, it is very, very pretty to me.
Yeah. Well, I'll say too, when it comes to A City Soaring, that's also a really cool part of the game. And this one, I have actually more notes on this than I was expecting, but you know, there's some sounds in this song that kind of sound like birds chirping at multiple points, you know? Like the synths in it, especially around like 135 when the song picks up and they kind of sound more warbly, like it really kind of sounds like birds. The feeling that this song gives me is freedom. Like it reminds me of when I was a kid, and like I used to have, and I still have them, but I used to have really frequently when I was a kid these recurring dreams where I would just like suddenly be able to fly. Like I would just fly, and I would just like kind of, you know, zap up into the sky and like fly over the city and like look down at the rooftops and the streets and stuff below me. And I've always thought about that. I still have those dreams sometimes, even as a 35-year-old man. And even in games, like, for example, like in Grand Theft Auto 4, I'll just grab a helicopter and just like fly above the city and look down at it. Like, I don't know why. I've always been just so enchanted by like flying over a city and like looking down at it. There's this, I don't know, like I've thought about this pretty much off and on my whole life, but there must be something about that feeling, like that feeling of being contained in like a space that is objectively large, but like wanting to break free of it and like observe it from the sky, if that makes sense. And like in a weird way, like that's what this song makes me feel like. And it's also kind of what you're doing at that point in the game, I guess, you know, like you are kind of like getting this other view, this other like city view or something. And I don't know, it's another instance where I felt like I was kind of like connecting to a feeling in the game through this song and through this moment.
It does fit with what's happening, especially later on. Again, we don't need to get super in depth into this. This is a pretty late game thing, but like Ryu doesn't want to leave the island, and the key species here kind of takes advantage of that.
Right.
And like this becomes like the most involved one of these like character vignettes in the whole game. And yeah, like it gets kind of dark with, I think Ryu is just kind of, he's sort of scared at the fact that he finds himself capable of loving another person, his husband. And I think that's part of the reason why he wants to stay, because again, he does genuinely love his husband and he loves research and stuff, but his fear seems to be that he's going to like forget how to love his husband. Like it says as much at the end of the game. And I get the sense that like he just, instead of confronting that or potentially confronting that, he just wants to stay here and not worry about it, you know, which I also relate to that a lot. But that's also kind of like what I get from what you're talking about with freedom. Like, even though like you might love someone, there would be something freeing about like, well, I'm gonna stay on this island researching forever.
Right.
It's not like you don't love them anymore, but maybe things would just be easier, especially if you're someone with like social skill issues, which Ryu definitely seems to have compared to the other two, and that's another reason I feel like I relate to him the most. But
Big time.
I'm with you. Like I do love like what you said. I loved in Grand Theft Auto 3 when you get the dodo and like it doesn't really work. Like you can glide kind of, but like when you can stay in the air for longer than 2 seconds, it actually does feel like you're breaking the literal boundaries of the game, and it feels amazing. I'll also say, maybe go out of your way to check out Promise Mascot Agency in a couple weeks. I can't say much more than that, but that game has a very good one of those, weirdly, considering it's like a mascot management simulator.
I can't wait to play it. Yeah, I'm very excited to play it. It's one of my most anticipated games of the year. Can't wait.
I think that's all I really had to say about A City Soar. I mean, there's plenty more I could say, but again, I think we've proven the point that I shouldn't be allowed to speak too much about emotional things on the podcast. I will say, I don't know where else I'd want to slot this. I do just want to note my other favorite Ryu quote, and I think this is like the very end of the game before the epilogue. He has a line about, there's something terribly violent about living, something ruthless and sparkling, the taking and taking, the becoming. And yeah, that's also what this song makes me think of. Because yeah, I kind of view A City Soaring as like Ryu's theme in the way that like Flowing Golden Highway is Amy's theme. And there is just something like life can only exist by absorbing other life. And there is something beautiful, but also kind of terrifying and scary and ruthless about that. And yeah, all those feelings come to mind when hearing A City Soaring. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, yeah, I just love this game, and I really, I mean, like, look, as much as I love Anodyne 2, I love all their games, for different reasons, but I think Sephonie definitely is the one that gives me the most to think about. Like, it definitely has the most, like, I don't know, layers to it, and I think that it's the one of theirs that I appreciate the most because it has all of this stuff to say, and it has all of this, like, meaning and depth and writing and stuff in there, but it's also way more, and again, I love Anodyne 2, and if I'm picking favorites, I would probably pick Anodyne 2, but I appreciate that Sephonie is doing it, but not being afraid to also be like challenging from a design perspective, from a control perspective. And anyway, all that to say that like if somebody's listening to this and they've made it this far and they have not been scared away yet, then like come into this game with an open heart, man. And I think it is just one of the most special gaming experiences you can have. Like I really do feel that way. It is just I do consider it like a masterpiece, like a complete masterpiece, and I really love it a lot. I don't know if we wanted to like dig into anything more narratively. Like there's stuff that if we wanted to get real spoilery, there's stuff that we could talk about with the ending, but I don't know if this is the place for it or not.
Before we started recording, I would have said sure we could do it, but I think I'm fine leaving it where it is.
I am too. Yeah, I am too.
Well, with that said, we don't have, for the first time ever, we don't have a YouTube comment oversharing corner this episode. There were a couple pretty good comments here and there, but like the game just hasn't been played by enough people with dead grandmas. Apparently we're the only ones.
It's just us.
Yeah. So I didn't want to force it. It didn't seem worth it having a whole section just for like 2 comments or whatever. So we are foregoing, for the first time ever, the YouTube comment oversharing corner. It'll be back. It's not going away. It's still maybe my favorite section of the show, so don't worry about it. We just won't have one this episode. That said, we do have a few voicemails to get into.
We do. I guess let's go ahead and start with this one from Fulia, which I believe is a response to the last episode. So let's go ahead and hear from Fulia.
Hello, Bit Harmony team. Oh my goodness, I loved listening to the Kirby and the Forgotten Land episode. I just finished it, so I was like, okay, I need to record now before I forget what I just heard. And I thought, my goodness, the soundtrack of Kirby and the Forgotten Land is awesome. Like it goes hard. Like it's like metal rock kind of like electric guitar in some of those tracks, and I love it. I especially, now this isn't technically like a full-on track, but I absolutely love the invincibility candy like music that you get whenever Kirby, uses an invincibility candy.
Hell yeah.
And all of a sudden in Forgotten Lands, it goes so hard, and I love it. And I just, every time I hear it, I'm just like, and just the electric guitar riffs that go in that, it is the best. I absolutely love hearing that. And then I'm sad because it's so temporary. It just the music just cuts off, and I'm like, oh. And then I'm like trying to hopefully come across another one so that I can hear it again, because it always makes me happy hearing it. But yeah, no, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, that OST is absolutely awesome. I feel like that particular Kirby game is my absolute favorite Kirby game. I have played Kirby games in the past, but until Forgotten Lands came along, I don't think I really played very many back in the day, just because I didn't really have as many like Nintendo consoles that had Kirby games on them. But yeah, as soon as Forgotten Lands came to Switch, I played through it. I absolutely fell in love with it. It was so awesome. I love the mouthful modes. My favorite mouthful mode, of course, is Kirby, and which is the car, of course. And yeah, I think there was like one other one. I do like the cone. The cone one, because it's just cute the way that he ends up waddling through when he uses that in mouthful mode, and it's so much fun. But I think I got the best reaction from when I did the mouthful mode with the pipe, and I was streaming at the time, and so the moment I came across the pipe, I just immediately my voice went high pitch. I was like, pipe, and it's just hilarious. But yeah, they're my favorite mouthful modes. But yeah, no, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is absolutely awesome. To answer your question about the Animal Crossing villager question,
forgot about this.
First of all, Seth, well done on doing such an awesome job with that tier list. Holy crap, you went for so long that my shift at work went by so quickly. I'd go away, I'd come back, and he's still streaming. It's like, holy crap, he's only up to P. But Matt, just to answer your question about Eugene, I will say Eugene the koala was my first koala on my ACNH island. And he's a pretty cool koala. I actually really enjoyed having him on my island for quite a long time. I decorated the front yard of his house with all of the things that he would love. Like I had a microphone stand, I had a tape deck there.
Yeah.
I know because he's also a smug character. He'd look into the mirror to make sure he looks, good. So I had a vanity out there, and it was like a full-on thing that I made sure that Eugene had a really cool looking front yard. And yeah, no, Eugene's a really cool koala. I really do like Eugene. Out of all of the koalas, I think he's like the better one, but I also do really like, I think Yuka is really, really cool. Also because of the fact that she's blue, but she's a really sweet koala as well. So I would definitely go with her as well. But I think I've gone on for a bit too long now, and but I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much for doing that tier list. Seth. Really appreciate it, going through the trouble of doing that. And great job on the episode, guys. It was a lot of fun to listen to. Thank you.
Thanks, Fulia.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate your diplomatic response to Eugene not being your favorite koala. It's fine. I read between the lines. No, I like the koala villagers. I think that's one of the better, a very consistent lineup of villagers, I feel, in terms of like the different species.
Sure. Yeah. No, they're good. Yeah. I appreciate the kind words. So Fulia, again, this is one of the perks over on our Patreon. Every month, I put the call out for tier list topic submissions. And as I mentioned earlier, Ligerwoods 330 submitted the Mario Kart thing. Fulia is the one who submitted the Animal Crossing Villagers tier list. So my friend Locklith and I sat there for like 4.5 hours and ranked every villager in Animal Crossing at Fulia's request. And it was a good time. Yeah, that was a fun stream. So I'm glad that Fulia liked it. And I'm glad she liked the Kirby episode too. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the pipe mouthful mode is pretty fun. It's like every instance of it is like an auto moving thing, and you have to time your jumps right. Yeah, the pipe one is pretty good. I'll also note that the invincibility candy gets another rearrangement in Forgotten Land at the very end when you got the truck mouthful mode. It plays.
Oh yeah,
it plays an even more dramatic invincibility theme as you're running along that like crumbling highway towards the psychic alien death angel. Like it's very good. I'll have to put that maybe beneath when she's talking about it, because that's a great arrangement of the invincibility candy theme.
Yeah, really good. Thanks for the voicemail, Fulia. Okay, so we do want to hear this next one from Parker.
Yeah,
let's hear from Parker.
Hey, it's me, Parker. I've been wondering, there's a new game called ENA Dream Barbecue. Chapter 1's been released.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 1's been released. Can you listen to its soundtrack? And I'm 21 years old, by the way. So I was suggesting that Cave Story episode. I'm not younger.
I mean, you're young for compared to us.
I was born around 2003. I didn't play the original Cave Story, but I'm planning to play Cave Story Plus. I don't know if I want to play Cave Story or not. I hope this message finds you well. Bye.
Thank you for the voicemail, Parker. Thank you for following up on the Cave Story episode. Yes. I watched the trailer for that ENA game. Actually, it's funny. Presto, another frequent voicemail leaver on BitHarmony, in our Discord, he put a trailer for it in there, linked to trailer.
Yeah,
I had never heard of it. I know it's based off of some like indie animation thing that I've also never heard of. That trailer was very cool, but I haven't like looked into the game. I know it's free, but I haven't looked into the game or the music itself yet.
Me either. I mean, I'm definitely going to play it at some point. It's free and it does look cool. And yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about it. So I'm definitely going to check it out. It's funny because hearing Parker being like, yeah, I'm 21, that first of all was shocking to me. I had no idea that Parker was 21. Also, like, Parker's like, I'm not that young. I was born in like 2003. I'm like, dude, in 2003 I was 14.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's still pretty young for my taste anyway. For me, I'm like, look, compared to me, you're still a young buck, Parker. But no, I appreciate you following up. And look, the Cave Story episode was honestly was because of Parker. So I appreciate you listening to that episode, warts and all.
I'll also note, Parker, that if you're looking for people to talk to about ENA or ENA, however it's pronounced, again, Presto in the Discord was talking about it. He played through it, I know. So while Seth and I haven't played it yet, there are people in the Discord that have played it. So if you ever want to talk to people about it, you can always join the Discord. I think we've always got links to that in the show notes, right? Yep.
There's links in the show notes to the Discord. It's free, friendly, open. Anybody can join. if you're like a weirdo, if you're like mean and weird in there, we'll kick you out. But otherwise, you're more than welcome.
You can be weird, just don't be mean or bad weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, bad weird is what I mean. Yeah, we're all a little weird, but weird in good and endearing ways. Okay, we have one last voicemail this week from Spriteless. So let's go ahead and hear from Spriteless.
Hello, Petrified, VON Media Heresy. So in reference to Team Tasty Fish, I gotta ask, do you guys like the smell of like microwave fish, or does it drive you crazy? Or because I feel like I'm in the minority, because not only do I like it, but I will like use dashi powder to make my noodles in fake fish broth. So yeah, that's on theme for gross food and for Sephonie. So ta-ta for now.
I appreciate getting on the theme of gross food and the game we're talking about.
The synergy, wow.
Yeah, this is in reference to the three main characters in Sephonie start calling themselves Team Tasty Fish because they're shipwrecked. All they can really do is get some fish and grill some fish, and Ryu doesn't like fish despite being raised in Japan, and that's a whole plot point too. So I'll just answer this real quick. I don't like the smell of microwave fish, but I never understood people freaking out about it. The way they do, like it's like a big social faux pas if you're in like a shared space to microwave a fish. Now, if someone is like pregnant, I understand that.
Sure.
I was working in an office like, I don't know, 6 years ago or whatever, and someone did microwave fish, and everyone was upset except me. Like everyone was like, "Who did this?" Like it became like a witch hunt, and I was just sitting there at my computer doing work. I didn't really care. But again, I think one of the ladies was pregnant, so I understand that. I sympathize and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Microwave fish smell never bothered me, but I don't know. I just assumed that like that I was weird, that it didn't bother me, and that like the way people act is like everyone in the world hates this. So like
right.
I never thought to even bring it up, honestly.
Right. I'm with you. It's never bothered me either. The thing that I've bumped into more often in my life, I love curry. Curry's probably my favorite food overall. I would eat curry every day. It's like either that or something boring like pizza, but I would go with curry. Curry's my favorite food, and I used to often, I would make a big batch of curry when I worked at GameStop, and I would eat on that. I would bring it with me to work with just like I had like a 2-compartment container and just, half rice, half curry, put it in the microwave for like 2 minutes, and you have a delicious lunch. And all of my coworkers at GameStop would be pissed. Like every time I microwave the curries, they didn't like the smell of it. And I'm like, are y'all like, this smells delicious. Like, what's wrong with you?
Was it like spicy? Like, was there spice in the air or something?
I mean, I guess I don't know. Like to me, it just, just smelled like a normal curry smell, but I love that. And it's also, I'm also sensitive to the fact that like, I spent a lot of my time growing up in Louisiana. I've worked with fish, I've worked in Cajun and seafood restaurants and stuff like this in my life. So I'm pretty like numb to fish, and I like fish. My wife does not. So we don't eat a lot of fish because my wife doesn't usually like it. But I've never had an issue with microwave fish either. I mean, all the time. I used to work at a place. My first job was at a place called Catfish Junction. It's gone now. The owner burned it down for insurance money.
I love stories like that.
Oh, dude, I could tell you some stories about that place. But I would all the time take home, like at the end of the night when like we're, it's either take it home or throw it away. I would load up like a little styrofoam container and take home all kinds of like leftover fried fish or whatever and pop it in the microwave. And yeah, I have no issue with it whatsoever. And yeah, Spriteless, they mentioned dashi powder. I love dashi. Like, yeah, I have no issue with it at all. I didn't even realize it was really a thing until stuff like, conversations in Sephonie and things like that. I didn't even know it was like a widely regarded issue, a hot button topic.
You work in an office, and yeah, you will hear all about that kind of stuff, like any kind of thing like that. I will say, it doesn't like upset me, but I will say I have a bigger problem with like burnt microwave popcorn than I do microwave fish. My mom loves telling the story about how when she was literally giving birth to me, that my uncle, who is not that much older than me, he's like 14 years older than me, that he had microwave popcorn and he made it while she's like in labor and burnt it. And so my mom is trying to give birth to a child and is inhaling burnt popcorn smell.
It's like the first thing your baby nose smelled.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, again, I will never know the experience of having to push a little dude out of your body. But that sounds awful. And then to also have burnt popcorn smell.
Yeah,
and also,
like hell.
what are you doing eating popcorn in the room? It's insane.
Pretty unhinged. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Just like, yeah, like I popped the popcorn like he's watching a movie or something. Your birth.
Whatever, man. I was hungry.
Yeah, that's crazy. Go get like a candy bar from the hospital vending machine or something, dude.
Yeah, and eat it outside. Why do you want to eat something in a room where child labor is happening? That's weird.
Yeah, that is weird. Yeah. Well, I do. I appreciate the synergy, Spriteless, and I appreciate the rational thought when it comes to microwave fish and the measured approach to microwave fish, I guess.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting all three of us to be like, yeah, microwave fish is not that big of a deal. I've never encountered that. Everyone's always pissed when microwave fish is happening around me.
I have a hunch that some listeners of this episode will let it be known that they are not on the microwave fish train that we are.
And to be clear, it's not like I like it either, but it's just it's not a big deal. To me personally,
I'm indifferent. Like I'm not rah. Let's microwave some fish. Hell yeah. But like, I'm sure there are going to be people who are just abjectly disgusted by it and will let us know in the comments.
Probably. Yeah. And that's fine. Go for it.
That's
I
fine.
guess
Do it.
Maybe.
Well, I'll read it on the next episode. Go right ahead. You send in a voicemail if you want. I'd be delighted.
I dare
by
you.
That.
Mm-hmm.
I dare you. Well, speaking of sending in voicemails, did you know that you can do that two ways, dear listener? You can send in voicemails to bitharmonypod@gmail.com if you'd like to send it to us that way, or you can call them in at 216-230-8540. That number again is 216-230-8540. You can send them as voicemails under 3 minutes, please, or they will cut you off over there. You can text us as well, and Bot Harmony will take care of the rest, and we would love to hear from y'all. We will happily play them on the episode, microwave fish or no.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what else? So we talked about the Discord. Join the Discord. You can go ahead and hang out with us there. We'll talk about everything from that ENA Dream Barbecue game or whatever else you want to talk about. We're about to have a bunch of like Switch 2 news, so I'm sure our Discord is going to be buzzing over the next couple days, so we'd be happy to have you over there. Also, you can support the show on Patreon, which we mentioned earlier, to hear things like the Earthblade episode of Bit Harm Mini and all of the future ones that we have in store. There is a 7-day trial over there for free on Patreon if you want to check that out. Look at some of our other exclusive content over there. Matt and I just did an episode of All In Side Quest that is exclusive to Patreon. I do $2 Hero Cast, which is like an AMA podcast there every week, and all kinds of stuff over there on Patreon. And another perk that you get for supporting us on Patreon is you get thanked at the end of fine podcasts like this one. So let me go ahead and do that right now. Thank you to our Triforce tier supporters like Adam Caparello, Bowza, Dan and Luma, Danielina Hosa, Foolish Fuji, John Cummins, Josh Vaughn, Ligerwoods 330, and Uncle Randy. And thank you to our Golden Banana tier supporters like Big Dogs Only, Bill Tucker, SAZ, Gamer Jason, Liam D, Marcus O'Neill, Phelan Ward, Rob Yapel, Shy Guy, thank you Shy Guy, Sean Ashton, and Sparky. Again, 7-day free trial to the Golden Banana tier. Join their ranks and support us while you're doing that. So we appreciate for doing that. Just don't do it on the iOS app. Thanks.
Yeah. Had to sneak that in there one more time. Yeah, our next full episode, and we're not doing a bit harmony next week or anything either. So our next episode period is on April 20th. That is going to be on Streets of Rage 4. So join us then to find out how we can make ourselves cry when talking about a beat 'em up.
Find exciting new ways to cry about Streets of Rage 4 of all things.
Again, Streets of Rage 4 is like a top 10 video game of all time for me, so I actually might get emotional on that one too, but for very different reasons.
Well, and I'll say this too, speaking of the Discord, we have been talking about streaming a co-op playthrough of that game in the Discord, so maybe join the Discord and, you know, hang out with us, and we'll maybe do a little stream of Streets of Rage. It's so hard for me to say that. Streets of Rage 4 in the Discord, so come hang out with us there. That should be fun.
Who are you going to play as in that co-op run?
Probably Cherry.
Okay.
Probably. I don't know. I'll figure it out when we get there.
Okay. I already re-downloaded the game and I blasted through it in like 40 minutes last night with Shiva. Shiva's my main character, my favorite character, and who dang, I forgot how good that game is. I didn't forget, but like it's something else. If I'm being honest, it might be like my favorite game that we've covered or that we will be covering on the show so far. So I'm very, very excited about that one. This and Sephonie back to back is like, this has been the most indulgent set of episodes we've ever had.
And Kirby, Sephonie, and then, oh my God.
And even before that, we had Spelunky and Hypnospace and Cave Store. Like, these are all games that like define me and or you, you know, like it's a good batch of episodes. Are we ready for haikus then?
Yeah, let's do it. We have some. I think I went first last time, so why don't you go first with this one?
Yeah, you did go first. Because I knew how heavy this episode was going to get, I wasn't even going to. I did not want to do more of that ahead of time, so I made it as stupid as possible. Kinda. I think there's still something here. So, Mindshare with the boys. Taco Bell, Severance, Goofs, a thing of beauty.
I love that. That's it. That's what it is.
It's literally just group chat with the boys. Yeah, but that is a form of mindshare. I feel like where else can you be yourself more than in a group chat with the boys?
I will say the group chat that we have, it's me, you, Colin, and Wilk, and that is probably where I am the most myself. In a strange way, that is like that you can say whatever you want in that group chat, and like, you know, sometimes there'll be judgment, but it really is just from, you know, a very limited amount of people. We can go in there and we can air out any grievances we have with anybody. We call it the haters chat sometimes. We can talk about whatever we want, whether it be open Severance spoilers, whether it be Taco Bell or getting hit on at Buc-ee's at 5 a.m. We can talk about whatever we want in that group chat, and I really appreciate it.
I am going to judge you right now and say that there were no open Severance spoilers, but no, I know what you mean.
I don't care.
I know, it's fine.
y'all talk about whatever you want. But I know how Wilk feels about it anyway, so.
I don't think he even knows how he feels about it. He's so far removed. He's so lost in the sauce of the bit. It doesn't. He's not a real person sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes he who makes a bit out of himself gets rid of the pain of being a man. Okay, let me get into mine then here. This one I tried to. This haiku took many different forms over the course of writing it. Mm-hmm. There was a time where it was way more sad than it ended up being. I wanted to lean into. It's not going to be surprising the subject matter that I cover, but I wanted to kind of give it like a happy, sad, nostalgic kind of vibe to it. So here it goes. Cicadas in song. Sunset hugs the well-worn road. The maze and malaise.
Wow. I'd say that's one of the best ones, period. I think that's a really good one. Yeah, I think so.
I appreciate that. I was happy with, I wanted to find something to rhyme with malaise, and when I remembered that corn is also called maize, I jumped out of my seat like Ozymandias in Watchmen with my arms outstretched saying, I did it!
Dude, that feels like that'd be like a Kendrick Lamar line. Like he would drop that on something and then like people would be freaking out about it for 3 years.
The maize and malaise. That is... Maize and malaise is pretty much what growing up in the Midwest is. So, yeah.
It also makes me hungry, so that's good. My wife's going to be home soon. We're going to make dinner. So, perfect time to get off of here then. Thank you all for listening once again. As always, again, reminder, April 20th, that is the Streets of Rage 4 episode up on the public feed. But if you want to get that early, join the Patreon. Otherwise, taking you out this episode is Solitary Wanderer. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.